Welcome to the Roadshow Podcast.
How was the wedding?
Wedding was epic.
Yeah?
Yeah, it really was. It was, man, leading up to it, a lot of people were giving me different types of advice. A lot of people were saying make the most of it and like really be in the moment because it goes really quickly and obviously you only ever do it once. But it was, I would say easily second best day of my life, man, apart from my son being born.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so definitely worth it.
Sick, dude.
Because at one point I was thinking, people that just elope, I was thinking of doing that, saving the money.
Yeah.
I'm quite a money conscious person. I was like, it's hard to spend that kind of money on one day. We could go on a holiday, I could put it into the house or whatever, but no, I don't regret it at all. It was the perfect day, man.
Sick.
Yeah.
Where'd you honeymoon?
Bali.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect place, bro.
Yeah, it was awesome. And just like a few days away from the kids, didn't go for too long because of the kids. And it was the perfect time. On the fifth day, I was like, all right, I'm ready to see the kids now.
Yeah, of course.
Just getting all teary and shit.
Yeah.
But it was perfect.
Was that the first time that you had time away from them?
Yeah, it's the longest I've ever been away from my son. We've had like one night, he'll go stay at someone's house for one night, but never, I think it was 5 nights in the end. So on the Sunday, then we were coming home, I was like an emotional mess. I was just crying at everything. I was like, man, I'm ready to see the kids. Not even just my boy, my girls.
Yeah. How old's your boy now?
He's 1.5 or just over. Yeah.
What's that feeling like?
Great, amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's tough because I'm the kind of person that gets not bored, but I'm constantly chasing excitement so now that I have this weird fear now that part's done. It's gone so quick. I'll never get to do it again, like the newborn phase. And like it just seems to have disappeared. Even when I picture him now, I look at old pictures of him, I'm like, I don't even remember him looking like that. Or I watch videos from not even a year ago. I'm like, I don't even remember doing this with him.
Yeah.
So it just goes so quick. So part of me is like, let's have another one.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So, but that's just the my restless nature. And let's do it again. So, but then if there was another newborn baby here, I wouldn't be that present for Jordan being 2, 3, 4. So I've been told to just be patient.
Yeah. I hear it's like being like fatherhood. It's being like on a drug that consistently makes you want to be better.
That's a really good way to put it. A few people have asked me what's the biggest change I've noticed or something like that. A lot of them kind of questions. And I would say that there's no better motivation and inspiration that you could ever come across or have than having children to like whoever told you that, to be better or do better, because now I'm not the most important person in the world anymore. Before, if I fucked up or I wasn't achieving my potential or whatever, it's like I'm only letting myself down and that's all good. But now that there's other people in my life that are more important than me, I refuse to let them down.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a cool philosophy. I wish I had that even as a single dude.
Yeah.
You know, like, because you're giving to others.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
It is like that. It is.
Yeah.
And that's why I used to be a youth worker, like in community services, working with a lot of homeless kids and mental health and stuff. But as soon as I know what's happened to my boy, I quit that and got out of that industry because I didn't feel like there was much more of all the love and all the, I don't know what to call it, but everything I was giving to these kids that were homeless and or these teenagers or young people, I knew I had to reallocate that to my son when he got here. Like I was pretty emotionally burnt out.
Yeah.
And I knew that I just needed more, and like my cup needed to be more full for the family. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Were you trying to supplement that feeling as like a younger man with music?
I think so. I think I always felt like, I said this in my vows at my wedding, I always felt like I had a lot of love to give. And then there was, I was doing something for work, and then I just felt like I wasn't, I always pride myself on my compassion and altruism and wanting to give back and making a change in people's lives. And so I always wanted to do that with music, but then the music wasn't taking off as much as I wanted to. I wasn't feeling that gratification or that satisfaction of actually changing people's lives. So I went on the front line and worked with a lot of, I'd say that the most vulnerable kids in Perth for sure.
Yeah,
most high risk, definitely. And that was really fulfilling for a long time. I did it for 8 years, but towards the end of it, I was just emotionally wrecked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was I had compassion fatigue, they call it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like being empathetic in that state for too long.
Yeah, and it just wears you down.
Yeah.
You know? Or there's plenty of situations where you give empathy or compassion and it either gets spat back in your face, sometimes quite literally.
Yeah, right.
But you're constantly, like, you're either battling with the kids because they're so drug affected, or you're battling for the kids with these government bodies, whether it be legal or housing or mental health or whatever it may be, all these government bodies, and then you start sharing their, not failures, but every time they'd get knocked back or get done wrong or you'd feel it for them. And then when you're working really closely with multiple kids, if I'm being honest with you, I didn't really have great boundaries, and the bit of belief thing made it really hard because a lot of that demographic of young kids that like hip hop are the same demographic that are homeless or drug addicted or what have you. So they all knew who I was and they knew all my friends and stuff like that. So it was very hard for me to maintain them boundaries. They could all talk to me on my Bit of Belief pages. Like every other youth worker have personal pages that none of the kids are allowed to communicate with them on. So it was hard for me to kind of establish that boundary. So, and ultimately ended up super burnt out.
I don't think people have that awareness that when coming up as an artist and being I can't say that word for shit.
Altruistic.
It's
a banger.
Fuck that motherfucker. I feel like that is such a polarity to what just being a regular human is. Because you're trying to be this social figure and then also try and come up in a genre of music that's known for having that background of, drugs or like gangsterisms.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hard.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of the time, the kid, like, how do I put this? Sometimes they'd be in the youth centre and they'd be listening to music or whatever, and then I hear one of my own songs come on, and then one of the kids would be like, that's a bit of there, don't you? I'm like, what the hell? And a lot of the kids would say, why the hell do you have a job? Aren't you famous? Aren't you rich? No, bro. I wish.
Yeah.
But or they would trip it. I can't believe you work here, man. What are you doing working here? So they would kind of perceive it as like, what's he doing? Do you know? But I didn't really care, man. I care less and less as I get older. What the people think of me.
Yeah.
So
I think that comes from like the difference between doing what you're doing with a Bit of Belief stuff and having a job that works like FIFO or something, and then going, actually, no, I'm going to be giving back to the community with my work life and putting myself on that forefront.
Yeah.
Because like you can live the life, but you could also want better for the kids at the same time. But I don't think people make that connection that like, it's actually a completely different life because you're actually doing something for the community rather than just the company.
Yes.
100%.
And I think people really underestimate, like them people that do that kind of work, number one, they don't get paid enough. Like number two, it's very dangerous. Like there were so many times across that 8 years, found myself in very dangerous situations.
Like what?
Like a lot of the time going to people's houses because you work quite closely with families and stuff like that. So there was this program where they'd pick up kids off the street at night and the police would bring them to us. We worked night shift from like 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'd be out on the street trying to just give them, 24-hour smart riders, get out of the city, get home, give them lifts home, get them taxis or whatever before the cops could get them. But if the cops got too many of them, they'd take them to this youth centre and we had to go chill in the youth centre with them until we could find somewhere safe to get them home. Damn. So we had to go, if no one was answering the phone, we had to go knock on these doors in the middle of the night, wake up these families that were like, these are lower socioeconomic regions, as I'm sure you can imagine. So like some of these houses and some of these families weren't very welcoming and happy that we were there. It's like, why are you bringing my kids back?
Yeah.
They were in the city. Yeah, we knew. So, and to be honest with you, looking back, reflecting, I don't think the program is a very ethical one because them kids aren't actually under arrest.
Right.
They're not actually under arrest, but they don't tell them that. And I don't think you're empowering young people to withhold their rights and not empower them with the knowledge that you're actually not under arrest. You can leave whenever you want, but we're not going to tell them that because we don't want them to leave. So looking back now, it's actually quite unethical, and it still runs to this day. I don't agree with the program at all. I used to hate it.
Yeah, okay.
And because the other thing is that when we were on the street, there was heaps of kids under 18 out there, heaps of kids. But the only kids that would end up getting grabbed by the police and ending up back at the youth centre were Aboriginal kids.
Right.
And so it's like, wait a minute, we were just out on the street. there was black and white kids everywhere, and it would have been like 60-40, but still, the ones that came through the youth centre and got picked up were like 90-10, like 90% Aboriginal kids, maybe more.
Damn.
So the whole thing felt a little... I was pretty uneasy about it, to be honest with you.
Do you reckon that's police targeting in proper manner?
100%, yeah. Well, and the other people that work as part of that program are Department of DCP or DCPFS, I think it's called.
Right.
So you can imagine how Aboriginal families feel when you're bringing home their kids because DCP and the police told you to. Like it's not ethical, and it wasn't safe either.
Yeah.
So we're just knocking on doors at 3 o'clock in the morning. A little girl answered the door once. She would have been about 3. And she said, "Oh, are your parents home?" Because I had her brother in the car dropping him off. She said, "Oh, Dad's hitting Mum with a knife again." And I was like, "What?" Yeah. I just had to leave with. I'm not even allowed to grab this little girl. I just have to go. Psst. So I jumped in the car, called the police. I was like, "This is what just happened."
That's scary, dude.
But there was definitely more situations like that. So being cornered by kids that are like meth affected to the point they're in drug-induced psychosis. It's meth-induced psychosis is like a scary thing, man, especially for someone that's like, is really struggling with mental health because you don't know how far they'll go.
Yeah.
And some of them kids were like big boys, bigger than me. So when they're towering over you or they're getting in your face or they've got you cornered or whatever and they're flipping the fuck out, it can be a bit... Because the other thing is, I know I'm not allowed to actually defend myself. I'm not allowed to just start throwing hands at one of these kids.
Yeah.
I'd be in big trouble. Shit. So they try to teach you all these like defense techniques, but they're all holds and they're all like... on some fucking Steven Seagal shit. It's like, no one's ever going to think to do any of this in the moment.
Yeah. Especially if someone's coming at you with a knife.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Like try to do some chop shit? Like, no, man. So, but look, I tilt my hat to anybody that's still in that industry. I just couldn't do it after a while.
Yeah. That is wild. It's crazy to think that like, and I'm not putting any kind of damper on the situation or anything like that. And this is where my head goes, just to let you know. It's weird that like back in the day, walking out into like the wild when you were tribes was like a sign of masculinity. That's why they called it like walkabout.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So having young males prove their masculinity, there's like, I wonder, like, and that's a far-fetched thought, don't get me wrong. I wonder if it's tribalism entwined into like what British society has made all of this into. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that's the colliding like polarity. And that's the second time I've used that word in this conversation.
It's a great word though. We'll use it again.
Yeah.
I think that with that whole program I was talking about before, it felt like white people telling black people how to live again. Like I told you, when I got back to them families, they were like, yeah, I know he was out and about. He was staying at his cousin's house tonight or whatever. But these white police and DCP are saying these kids should be at home. Do you know what I mean? Like it just felt like that. And it felt like, man, walking is a massive thing in Aboriginal culture. A massive thing. So like these kids are just out, they're like expending their energy, they're just walking about. A lot of the time they're not even causing any trouble in the city anyway. Yeah,
well there's no curfew to it.
But and that's the thing. It was like, well, so why are these kids being apprehended? Put in handcuffs. But yeah, it just the whole thing stank like trying to tell these people how to live again and how to raise their kids again. So
did it reflect in your music?
Yeah, at the time. So if you listen back through my catalogue, you can tell when I was doing that work, a lot of the experiences that I was having in that sector where I was talking about in my music. So a lot of the time I was talking from their standpoint, like giving them a voice to kind of, speak on what they were going through, what I saw them going through. So, but yeah, it definitely influenced a lot of the stuff I was writing at the time. Definitely, yeah.
When did you start music?
I was 14 when I wrote my first. I was writing prayers first.
Really?
Yeah, because I was into skating. I was a skater, and there was a skate park. It was called God Park or Cherokee.
Okay.
And you had to go. It was a sick skate park, but in order to skate there for free, you had to sit through a church session because there was a church attached to it. So me and my mates would just go sit through this church session, And man, at the time, I needed Jesus. I was like, I was a kid that was like a little bit lost and stuff. So
That's actually a really smart idea.
Yeah.
A church next to a skate park.
yeah, it's very manipulative.
Yeah.
But it worked on me. It didn't work on my mates. They were like, man, fuck this shit. I was like, I don't know, brother, I'm feeling it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And then so
They give you crackers, bro.
but man, I remember my nana was stoked. She was trying to get all us grandkids into religion.
Yeah.
And then finally because of this church thing, I got really into God and I started writing my own prayers. And
right.
And then they kind of, transformed into poems. And then and then I was found in WA and like Gangster's Paradise and stuff like that. And then I used to change all their lyrics. Like I'd print out their lyrics and take out gun and put tongue and you know what I mean? Just made it more relevant to myself. And then
That's smart.
Yeah, when I was like 14, 15, my cousin came to live with us because he was homeless and I wrote a rhyme about him. And then that was it. I just kept writing. But at first, for years, I was just writing without a beat, just rapping a cappella.
Really?
Because it was hard to find instrumentals back then.
Yeah,
This is
okay.
like, so if I was 15, we're talking 21 years ago. And so it was like Kazaa.
LimeWire.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think that was a thing yet.
Really?
So usually it might be like Eminem drops the single Stan and this instrumental for Stan is on there.
Yeah,
like, remember
true.
the single used to come out?
Yep.
And then so that's the only way I used to get instrumentals. But then I found Kazaa and LimeWire and just started doing all these mixtapes.
That makes me think that most producers only get tags these days. But back in the day, they get their whole track put up.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you think that's the same with lyrics these days? When you come up with lyrics, it's the music that gets you moving more on the radio.
Yeah.
Right? That's what they're trying to do, at least.
I can't write without a beat. My process is I pick the beat first.
Yeah,
Because the
yeah.
beat, whatever beat I pick, it like makes me think of stuff. Like it inspires thought or it inspires creativity. So I can't write without a beat these days. I can think of one-liners here and there. Like I put one-liners in my phone all the time. If anybody ever found my phone, like all these voice recordings, I would sound like a psychopath.
Really?
Yeah, because they're just all voice recordings. Like while I'm driving.
No beat.
Nah. Just trying to figure out lines while I'm driving.
Yeah.
Sometimes I fuck them up for a bit and then I get it. But yeah, whenever I need a line, I've got all them to refer to.
True.
Oh yeah, but going back to what I was saying, the beat, yeah, to me anyway, is very important. And a lot of the time these days, the success of your song is very contingent on what kind of beat you choose. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you finding that these days you're rapping to beats that have already been composed, or are you getting in the studio and?
No, already composed.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because that's actually a great question. Some people can do it, and some producers that are also rappers do it a lot as well. And I don't know how, because if I say you're a producer and we're going to make a beat together, if I sit there for the creation of the beat, by the time we're done, like it'll take a couple of hours, I'm a little bit sick of the beat.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm sick of it, but it's not fresh enough for me to just be like, whoa, I got to write to this and just start straight away. But if you send me a beat and I hear it for the first time and I love it, like there's been times where I'm driving and Rob Shaker will send me a beat. And I'm like, this is a stomper. I pull up and just have to start whatever, because you want to use whatever comes to you pretty much off the rip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I sit there throughout the process of creating the beat, I just don't have that same, it doesn't have that same impact when I leave here with it and go to sit down and write at home. I don't have that same like force pulling me towards it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's wild. I would have thought that like because you come from poetry, it would be like compose the poem first and then try and lay it. I don't know. There must be like 100 different types of
It's just
ways to
21
do it.
years is a long time. So it's
Yeah.
just changed over time.
Right.
Like I was saying before, when I was young, I used to have to be like drunk or high to write. And now if I'm drunk or high, I'm not writing. If I write these days, I have to be 100% sober.
Yeah.
So that changed somewhere too. I don't even know where or how old I was. But that changed along the way too. So much about my process has changed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So back in the day, you couldn't write drunk. You couldn't write if
Unless
you weren't. Yeah.
I had to be bent to write. Yeah.
How does that feel? Like, I don't even know what I'm trying to ask here. Is it like a love dichotomy? Is it like now you've got the love in life, you're like, actually, I can write with passion because I'm here right in this reality?
I think so, yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. I think when I was younger and I got high, or I got drunk, I just got bent in general. It made me think on a different level because I think when you're young, you haven't got much experience to draw from. You're trying to be someone you're not. Like I listen to my old stuff now, I'm like, man, it's cringe because I was trying to be hard and I was like, just like, glorifying drugs and just saying as much stuff as I could to sound cool.
Yeah,
you know? And but these days, because I want it to have more substance, and I know I've got plenty of life experience to pull from, I want a clear mind. I want to, and I think back in the day, maybe I just convinced myself I had to be fucked up to write, or I was more creative when I was fucked up. But I think now that I'm older and I've done a lot of work on myself and I chase knowledge and I like my brain. I like my sober mind. Do you know what I mean? I feel like when I was young, I didn't like being sober.
Yeah.
I didn't like being straight because it made me think too much. But these days I've just accepted I'm a thinker. My brain runs at 1,000,000 miles an hour and how can I use that to my advantage?
So you said chasing knowledge. What are you chasing?
Mostly like little bits of everything. Do you know what I mean? I've become a very curious person. Like if
you seem quite stoic.
Yeah.
Just with the path that you've taken. Yeah.
I think I had to become a little more stoic, and I feel like certain people around me at the moment are like, "What's going on for you? Is everything okay?" But I feel like before I was almost too emotional. I was a very emotional thinker, and I reacted to a lot of things out of emotion, whether it be conversations or whatever. And I also just said things because they sounded great, and I knew how I wanted people to look at me. And I feel like even that. That stint in community services, everybody says how selfless it was. But number one, it did a lot for me. I got a lot out of it. And number two, I enjoyed, sometimes I'd be on the street helping people. I'd be like, oh, I wish someone could see me right now doing this really nice thing for this guy. You know what I mean? I wanted to be viewed as a real, empath and a compassionate guy. And I liked when people said, oh, you're doing great stuff, man. So I'd be lying if I didn't say that, there was a massive part of it that was that. But I feel like I softened myself to the world around me, which made me very vulnerable. And a lot of times, situations would happen where I would regret being that vulnerable or regret being that accessible or emotional, and people could easily sway my emotions. If I was having a good day, someone could send me a message that would just absolutely fuck up my day. But these days, I'm trying to be I'm definitely more in control. Long story short, I'm just more in control of my emotions these days. Yeah. Yeah. And going back to the knowledge stuff, more than anything, knowledge of self. So knowledge of self is not so much reading or there's not many things you can do outwardly to gain knowledge of self. There was a single period before I met my wife that I spent so much time alone that I spent a lot of that time in silence, and I was big into meditation. And I did a lot of self-discovery stuff through that. I went and did a couple trips away. Oh, okay. Abroad. I went to India, I went to Ubud.
Nice.
Things like that.
What were they getting you to do up there? Like yoga and meditation?
I did some sound healing stuff in Ubud. And
they have the sound healing bowls and that?
Yeah, it was like this big pyramid-shaped hut, or I don't know what you'd call it, but it was massive, and they had all these different instruments in there, and and you just meditate, and they come and look. It's probably a bunch of bullshit, but I found it very relaxing, and all that time that I spent just thinking, and a lot of people that I talk to about meditation say, I can't meditate because I can't stop myself thinking, and I say, what if I told you meditating would stop your heart from beating? Would you want to do it? No. What if I told you it would stop your liver from working? Would you want to do it? No. I'm like, why do you want to stop your brain from working?
Yeah.
Your brain is just doing what it's meant to do. Meditating is not about stopping yourself from thinking. It's literally impossible.
Yeah.
You just have to watch your thoughts and why is that coming up? And how do I feel about that? And then just I started assorting stuff in my head between helpful and hurtful so that I could allocate my time, a little more consciously and be like, cool, this isn't worth my time or this is not. There's been a few things lately, old toxic relationships have tried to pop back up and get a reaction out of me and stuff. And, like I said, I just sort it in my head. I'm like, hurtful. I don't see that, me giving that any time. I don't see that being of any benefit to me whatsoever. So, like I said, long story short, I think I'm just much more in control of my emotions.
I think that's fucking awesome, dude. Being able, having to get to the point to where you're having to cut people off and still down the line you're not making the silly choice of going, you know what, I'm going to go back into this situation.
Yeah.
That's fucking...
I'd be lying if I said there wasn't part of me that was goes to entertain it.
Yeah, because there's that old,
connection there.
Yeah,
One of them told me that they're dying. So that was even harder. But I still have to, and like hearkening back to what I was saying before about the family and the kids and stuff. Like if I go get back into them situations that were toxic for me and are untrustworthy people, not in the sense that they might do something disloyal, but I can't trust how they operate enough to put my kids in any kind of jeopardy around them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So these are people that are not just toxic to me, but they're toxic to everybody. They're not. So why would I put my kids in a situation like that? If I was single and alone, I might have fed into that situation.
Yeah.
But like I said before, I'm only more in control of my emotions, my mind, my thinking, and my actions now because of the kids and because of Hannah. So.
Well, that's cool. You've got that anchor now.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's a good term for it too.
Yeah.
It is a good anchor.
Yeah, you're not just a fucking singular boat floating along the sea now.
Yeah.
Now you have components. Now you have the chain that locks you down. You have the anchor that keeps you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my decisions and my actions don't only affect me now, they affect them as well. So I have to be more calculated.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool finding a steady path in it all. The noise of the world.
100%. And look, I'm still a work in progress. It's not to say I never flip out every now and then.
Of course,
I've still
you're
got
human.
quite the temper underneath, and I still have hiccups. Like I haven't got it all figured out. But from where I am now to where I was, in my late teens or early 20s, is just chalk and cheese.
Yeah, that's sick, dude. Well, at least you have the awareness of that progression, dude. Like, there's too many people out there that just slobbishly go through life not thinking about the present moments. Oh, I was this person at this time.
Yeah.
I was watching this show at this time. Well, why are you saying that? Why aren't you living your life?
100%, yeah.
You know?
And I was always very focused on the past. Like the past would control me a lot, and I would just think about the past way too much and dwell on stuff. And then I just realised you're wasting the present to be thinking about the past, And then before you know it, I think what getting older does to you is it makes you put things in perspective a lot more, because you start realising how quick you look back and you're like, oh my God, I've been on this earth for 36 years. It's a long time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't sound like it's still considered young, but yeah, when you realise, when you look back at memories from when you were 10 or whatever, you're like, that's so fucking long ago.
Yeah.
When someone says something about 2008 or something like that, in my head, I'm like, that's not that long ago. But it is. It's like 15 years ago.
Yeah, true.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
More, right?
What are we, 2023, 2, 3, 15 years.
Yeah. I'm really stoned. Really stoned. It's great.
I think, anyway, I could be wrong. I'm hard to.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't do math right now. So I wanted to talk about that last cipher that y'all just dropped.
So I wasn't in it.
Hey?
I wasn't in it. I was on my honeymoon when they did that. Oh, the one with Greeley?
No. The one that you dropped prior to that.
What have I dropped?
Fuck.
What have I dropped? I'm terrible like that, man. Oh, the one with Marksman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was in my head, I was like, what have I dropped this year?
Motherfucker, I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah. What's the song called? Unapologetica.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a weapon. Actually, everybody on that song was a weapon. So, so at the start of this year, I was like, cool, I need to focus on features for this year, because last year I took a step back. Wasn't really doing any music because Jordan was born. And then so this year I was like, cool, let's just like slowly ease back into it before you start working on the album and just focus on features.
Yeah.
And doing these features this year has been great, because it's like it's feeding the fire. It was kind of like just like, a low. What do they call it? It was just like low, burning on a low. You know what I mean? And then
Just a spark.
Yeah. And then this year doing the features has kind of fed that beast in me again. And then I reckon towards the end of this year I'll have another 2 features out, and then next year I'm gonna jump into the album.
Yeah, sick, dude. I think features these days, because they're so publicly like broadcasted. Like back in the day, we didn't have social media, so we couldn't put a face to the name, and they would do it over the radio. So it's only whenever you're near a fucking receiving thing, like it's almost like that, right? It's like the constant information flow, but you have to be near it to fucking.
Man, in music, it goes through waves and seasons. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like clothes fashion. Like now, flares are coming back for chicks and stuff. And it's the same in music. And I do think that it's going to come back to the more boom bappy kind of sound.
Yeah.
But the whole cypher thing for cypher and posse tracks and crew tracks and stuff like that. It was obviously massive back in the day when Woo was a thing and Jedi Mind Tricks and stuff like that. And then everything kind of died. That kind of died out. People weren't doing as many features, and it was a lot more about the individual artist. But I feel like it's coming back, like big posse tracks and ciphers and stuff like that. Like
I like that shit.
People are into it again. Yeah. And I think it's because of what you said, because everything can be video. So everyone's doing these shorts of even dudes.
Everyone's got one of these, dude. Everyone.
100%.
Everyone. You can watch awesome shit all day if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And having the availability to add to that stream of shit is just fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
We live
I think that sets up the singular tracks too. So
big time.
when you collab with a bunch of different audiences, that's pretty much what you're doing, because you guys are both
getting each other's
audience, like reciprocating, right? And then when you go for your own stuff, they're like, oh shit, yeah, he was on that.
Yeah. And that's what I thought was cool about doing the features before the album drops as well. Maybe get some new people on board. And this year I've been not just doing features with rappers, but like trying to branch out and do like rap verses for singers. Or I've got an EP I've nearly finished with James Aberley. We got a song together.
Oh, sick.
What's it called? To the Edge.
Right.
And we were like, let's do a whole EP. So it's pretty much finished.
Sick.
Ready to go. We're just sitting on it and waiting for the right time. So.
Yeah, dope, dude.
So I've been busy just behind the scenes working on stuff. I haven't been dropping much stuff this year, but next year I'll be getting busy for sure.
Yeah. Do you have a marketing campaign you use when you drop?
Yeah, I usually try to just drop. I don't go through anybody. It's all it's all just me and Keithy.
Nice.
And but I don't. I usually just maybe pick 2 or 3 songs, drop clips off the album leading up to it. Maybe 2 months before, then 1 month, and then the day before the album drops or something like that.
Yeah.
I try to let the music do the talking, man. Back in the day, I used to try to think of all these different ways to push and promote it. But one thing I've noticed watching people do that is it's cool, but nothing. People that blow up and go to that next level and stuff, it's not because of any smart marketing or anything like that. It's because of the product. It's not the ability to sell it. So as long as I have good product, I feel like sooner or later something will take off.
The product these days isn't just music, it's music and video. And yours is locked down, don't get me wrong. Yours is fucking sick as shit. But I think that's what most of the underground scene that wants to come up is missing. Yeah. Like they get one good component.
Well, the other thing is a large part of the product is your like these days, you don't have to necessarily be that good of an artist, but if you have a good online social media presence, like they're talking to the camera, they're all that stuff, it matters now, because now you have the ability to sell a product. And these days, the kids are just as invested in who you are on your social media as they are, if not more, than your actual music itself. Like there's a lot of Aussie rappers out, like the younger, I don't want to sound jaded, but the younger crews these days, where it's not so much about the creative element of it and the actual making music and the performing, it's more about the whole personality, do you know what I mean? As a whole, because back in the day, they weren't that much invested in us outside of the music because they didn't have that kind of access to us. Now they have that kind of access to the artists. They want to be like MTV Cribs. I feel like MTV Cribs started that whole being let into the artist's world, into their life, they're seeing in their fridge and shit. And now everybody, but I try to draw, like I share pictures of my kids and stuff.
That shit was weird, right?
The MTV Cribs.
Yeah. Do you know why?
Why?
Because there's nutcases out there.
Yeah.
Yeah? If you drive past someone's house and you see it on MTV Cribs, right? You have a map of that fucking house of where you can go to real quick when they're not in there.
What's that? Isn't there a doco on Netflix about like a crew of like thieves that were breaking into Paris Hilton's house, and they got a lot of the information off MTV Cribs?
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
And they were breaking into it for like a year, just stealing little bits at a time, and they got greedier and greedier each time. So they got caught eventually.
Scary. That's very scary.
So that's why I've become very conscious.
Especially for a girl, like
oh man,
Paris Hilton.
Yeah,
dude. You get one dude in the room with her, she's getting smashed.
If I ever have to do like share some pictures, or
don't
whatever.
Smash women. Yeah. I'm just saying. But I'm just saying the vulnerability of having a girl getting broken into by a group of thieves. That's wild shit, dude.
There's been a few docos on Netflix actually that have made me very wary of like stuff that I share, and like that Don't Fuck With Cats, how they tracked that dude down, and they were finding his coordinates and his location and where he was and stuff.
I got like 35 seconds into that fucking thing. He put the kittens into the bag and then put the vacuum to the bag, and then it went black, and I was like, beep.
But look how quickly people can find you, access all this information about you and everything.
Wild.
So
It's wild.
Say they're like taking a photo out the front of my house or whatever. I won't post it these days because I don't want the front of my house to be on social media where my kids sleep at night. You know,
Google Maps.
It's crazy.
They know what neighborhood what neighborhood you're in because everybody these days spits their fucking postcodes.
Oh man, I hate that shit.
What
You'd never catch me doing it. You would and I never did. Even when I was a little train rat, I never put my postcode in my raps.
It's a good idea.
Ugh, come on, man.
Where'd you get the name Bit of Belief from?
That's an interesting one, actually. So I used to be with a record label, and I used to rap with like a full-blown American accent. Well, what I thought was a full-blown American accent.
Right.
But it just sounded like an Australian dude trying to do an American accent. And poorly. And then I left the label, and I had a different name, and I was trying to choose a new name because I was going off on my own, doing Aussie accent now, and so I left, and I couldn't think of a name for the life of me, and I was pretty down because they kind of fucked me over as well. So I was pretty down about the whole thing, and I was saying to my mum like loves my shit. She's always loved my shit. She's one of my biggest fans, and I remember sitting on her bed talking, and I was like, fuck this, I might just throw in the towel. I'm done with this shit. I'm not keen. And then she said, you need to keep pushing. I have every bit of belief in you. Or something like that. It's not verbatim, but the phrasing was bit of belief.
Yeah.
Because I was so actively looking for a new name at the time, when she said that, and it just rolled off her tongue like that, I was like, that's dope.
Yeah.
And because like going back to what I was saying before about the church and everything like that, the bitter side was like I was this little wannabe street rat, and like I was getting into fights and doing stupid shit. And then the belief side, I was also quite spiritual and I guess it started with me writing poems. So I liked the nuance of, what do they call that when there's like two words that are an oxymoron?
Yeah,
I liked how it was a real cool oxymoron. Like bitter just felt dark, but then belief felt lighthearted, and I just loved how it made me feel and how it rolled off my mum's tongue. So
that's what I call pill pop and rappers these days. Oxymorons.
Oh yeah. That's great. I like that. I like that. Me too.
Yeah,
Me
dude.
too.
What have you seen in the have you seen much of the drug culture that's like permeating the scene at the moment?
Yeah.
There's a fuck ton of it, dude.
See, put it this way: when I was a youth worker and I knew everything that was going on with this kid's life, like like I knew all the issues he was having, I knew how he was acting, I knew his problems with meshing with society, and then I'd see the stuff he was watching on, because they'd have like computers in this youth centre, or they'd sometimes walk around with little speakers and stuff as well, and the stuff that he was listening to was a direct reflection of how his life was going. Like he was into Husky and stuff like that, and Husky I think was cutting his wrists on his social media when he was off his head once, so this kid was like trying to mimic it and stuff. So I was seeing firsthand how much of an effect us as local Australian hip hop artists or whatever was having on these kids. Like they were like, back in the day, I used to think it was cool to slap chicks and stuff because Eminem had that song about Kim out, and I hated my mum because Eminem hated his mum. Like looking back now, that was so stupid, but I was like 16, 17 years old, but Eminem had that much of an effect on me, and now it's us having an effect on these young local kids. So it made me very conscious of the content that I was putting out as well. I did not want to be contributing to the decay of young society. I definitely didn't want to be a part of that.
I think like that whole people idolizing artists and have them allowing influence over them just with their lyrics and stuff is like a massive thing that permeates through culture.
Massively, yeah.
I talked to G Madison the other day, and he's Mariah Carey's dance choreographer, and and like Rihanna and Kendrick Lamar.
Shit.
Yeah, like dude is a fucking weapon, bro. He's just been hustling his whole life. I fucking love that dude. He told me that when he was growing up, he would watch MTV and he'd see Michael Jackson on the screen. So just like you said, Eminem was on the screen or in the ears of these kids and yourself, like when we were younger, dude, I think that happens at every generation of life.
Yeah.
Because every generation there seems to be another figure that's just like pushes the culture in another direction. Yeah,
we were at, have you heard of And Beyond? And Beyond's on that song.
Yeah.
Marks, and
shout out And Beyond.
He's sick, man. He's very, very good. Good dude too. But he, when he was on stage, I get a very Kendrick kind of vibe from his stuff. You could tell he's influenced by Kendrick. And I turned around to Drafto and I said, man, it's crazy how influential Kendrick's become. Like you got JID, Doja Cat.
Yeah.
You know, like they're all very Kendrick influenced, and not saying any of these people are biased. I'm very Eminem influenced, which is why I can't believe I said this. But I said it's crazy, man. I reckon Kendrick's probably the most influential since like Jay-Z and that. And then he goes, Eminem. I was like, oh shit, yeah, sorry. Completely, even though he was my biggest influence, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think you're right. I think every generation someone comes along to really have an influence on that. I feel like it's probably Drake, J. Cole and Kendrick at the moment. You know, there's certain demographics that fall in each one of their pockets.
Yeah. I somewhat feel that political separation in America is causing the difference between like the lovers of idolizations of characters, because the left wing's so consumed like by everything that they're more likely to go off of the Kim Kardashian, Kanye West bullshit and get hyped up about those, like him as an artist. Yeah. And then like the whole Balenciaga, Adidas, whatever you want to fucking call it. That debacle, and then him spitting like all these AI tracks out now, like what the fuck is happening with the world?
Man, do you know what's wrong with the world? Well, with the West anyway, is that we're all just so bedazzled by everything that America does. So as soon as something happens in America, it does not take long for it to kind of travel to the UK and to Australia and all these Western countries. And I just don't feel like it's the entertainment industry has become so massively influential over there that I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, you're talking about culture, I'm talking about politics. And I was like, if you don't think culture in 2023 is probably the biggest thing in the world that influences politics, you're fucking insane. Yeah. That's why every time there's, you know, something going on in politics, you see all these comedians, but celebrities come to the forefront. They all just start pushing their agenda and all their social medias. All these people have serious sway, whether it be like culturally, like because of social media these days, you have the attention of, you know, if they've got millions of followers, they have that many people's attention at any time. So that's the influence. The influence is attention. And they say attention is the new currency. If you can hold people's attention, that's why you got so many celebrities now doing crazy fucked up shit all the time just to I feel like Kanye does it every now and then. As soon as it's quiet and no one's talked about Kanye for a while, he'll come out and do something ridiculous.
Come out with a new wife or some shit. Yeah. Just
to keep, because if you can keep people talking about you and you can stay relevant and you can, you know, garner people's attention, then you're good in these days. Yeah. That's why I was saying to you before, I suck with I didn't even call it the business side, but now to be an artist, you can't just make the music and disappear behind the scenes. You kind of have to be, well, if you're trying to make it, if you've already made it, like the Kendricks of the world don't have social media, or Jay-Z, and like they kind of, cool, everyone knows who I am, I'll just drop music every now and then. But if you're someone like myself that's trying to, you know, gain more followers or listeners or whatever, you have to, like we were saying before, if you don't keep up with what's going on, you get left behind. Yeah. So while everybody else is giving you music and video content and, you know, letting you in on their social media, when you're competing with them kind of people, but you're not doing all the letting people in on social media or just being real present on your social media, then you're probably going to fall behind. But that's a loss I'm willing to take these days.
One reference I have to like the number ones in the charts of the world, to them it being altered and not being truthful to the actual charts, you can buy your way into it, was when 6ix9ine he got out of jail, and he dropped a couple of hits and one with Nicki Minaj, I think it was. Yeah. And he sold albums with his like clothing. So he would drop a fucking like neon like tracksuit with the shark face on it, add an album to that, and then that's considered an album sale. Right. And then he just went through the Billboard charts, and then like I think he said the third day before the second day, so it was 2 days before. It took 3 days for them to make the transaction, but I think it was like it's that bitch that always sings on Jimmy Fallon. Short girl.
Ariana Grande?
Yeah, Ariana Grande. She made a credit card purchase of like $70,000 or something. And it was like her numbers just went whoop.
She bought all her own albums.
Yeah.
They used to do that back in the day as well.
Yeah.
It's so whack, man.
Because if you buy them at like a bulk price, at like 1 cent an album, because you produce them anyway.
Yeah, but what the thing I don't get is people that do that, it's just like shortcutting or cheating. It's like when you get the result that you've shortcutted or cheated to get, how can it be satisfying knowing that, wouldn't in the back of your head you'd be like, yeah, but I did buy $70,000 worth of my own album.
Yeah.
Would I have this diamond album or platinum album if I didn't do that? But they might, it's also smart because they do that to catapult it up into the charts, and then people see it in the charts, and that's like a form of promotion in itself as well.
Right.
So this is the kind of stuff I don't like. I don't like having to think about all these strategies and all these ways to, you know what I mean? I just like artists that just blow up off how good their music is.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite way of it happening as well, to be honest. Yeah. Because you can see when people are taking like the hardcore route to get into it, and they're fucking themselves up through it.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of deterring, because you want to see someone come up like because they're good, not because they're adhering to the culture narrative.
Well, the other thing is the gradual incline, like gradually getting bigger over time and just accumulating more listeners as you go, as opposed to it happening overnight or really rapidly for you. It's definitely much better for you and your ego, because you can slowly adjust to how that feels as it's like happening, and you're, I guess, growing exponentially over the years. Where if you just woke up one day and one of your songs went batshit crazy, and you went from being used to not getting any attention to suddenly getting all this attention everywhere you go, like that's a big adjustment.
Yes.
That's a big adjustment to suddenly go through overnight and not change as a person. Like, it's very hard. I could tell you right now, sometimes doing what I do, there is perks of it, like you get into places for free, or people shout your drinks whenever you're out and about. Like, all these things happen. So, and it's not a, I guess, reflection of my character. I think this is just a human thing. After a while, you start having this inflated sense of self, like, because it feeds into, when it's happening all the time, and it probably happens for me on a lower level, but when I'm out with like Draft and Complete, or people that are definitely more known than myself, you see it, and it doesn't always look very enjoyable. And depending on what person you are, some of them don't find it enjoyable whatsoever. I know that neither of them dudes are the kind that like to be, you know, I guess like in public getting heaps of attention.
Yeah.
Like they're both quite
Reserved.
Yeah, reserved.
That's where those thoughts come from, I think.
For sure.
Being like, even if you can, like, if you're an outgoing person or have like a flourishing personality and you want to be out in the streets, I think sometimes you need to go behind all that to find the actual poetry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why, I guess that's, what do you call it when you're, introverts.
Yes.
Them two are very introverted. I'm more extroverted than them two, and I still don't like it. So, and imagine if you're someone like on a massive level, like the biggest stars in the world that can't go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's as great as people make out as you sell it. So that's why these celebrities are committing suicide and have drug addictions all the time, because I think Jim Carrey's got a quote. He's like, I wish every single person in the world could become as rich and famous as they want to be, so that they could see that it's not the answer, or something like that. Because a lot of people... It's deep.
Whoa, say that again.
I wish everybody in the world could become as rich and famous as they want to be, so that they can realise it's not the answer. Because everybody has this, like, if only I was rich, if only I was famous, I'd be happy. But what he's saying is, trust me, as someone that's, you know, attained both of them things, it didn't fix shit for me. It probably just creates a whole new pond of problems, you know? So
That's fucking crazy.
it's deep.
That's a deep fucking quote.
So there's people like MF Doom or Kiss, and people like that, they're smart. Mm-hmm. They could walk down the shops and walk through Woolworths, no one would even know it's them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Until fucking Gene Simmons like licks his thumb and he's like down here. Counts his money.
Hey, I know you from somewhere. But yeah, man,
Dad?
like as I get older, the idea of celebrities, like the desire for it is evaporating very quickly. Part of me doesn't ever even want to get to that level. I kind of like where I am. Maybe a little bit more so I could make more money and kind of live off it. But I don't have that like dying urge and hunger to go get it for myself. And I think I kind of didn't shoot myself in the foot, but touring with Draft for the 10 years, like I feel like I've lived it. I've experienced that, even though it wasn't for myself.
Yeah.
The whole idea, the feeling of being on the road for months on end and touring and being
10 fucking years?
nearly 10 years, yeah. 9 years, yeah.
How many tours did you do?
It's hard to say because a tour sometimes can be just like Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night.
Of course,
come home on Sunday. We just call it a little leg or whatever. But
Yeah.
the big tours where we'd be away for months and months at a time, there would have been like 5 or 6 of them.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, in that, and then there was just sporadic shows all through the year. But like a lot of flying, a lot of driving, a lot of waiting, a lot of sound checks, everybody thinks that touring is just snorting coke off groupies, tits and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's not. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of waiting around. People don't realise that. As the artist, while everybody's doing, fulfilling their roles and making the show happen, you're just waiting the whole time. Unless you're on stage for that 1 hour, everything outside of that, you're just waiting or getting to the next place. And it gets a bit tiresome.
Yeah.
But the best years of my life, some of the best memories I'll ever have, man.
What was the biggest crowd you played with?
I think it was
Draft on?
Calypso in Adelaide. It's like a car event. It's like the biggest in Australia. And I think, so one night it was like us and Hilltop Hoods and Illy and a bunch of others. And then the night after it was like, I think it was the Chili Peppers and all that. So it was like a hip-hop orientated night and then a rock orientated night. And that was like 13,000 people.
Damn, dude.
And it would have been like 25. And I stacked it on stage in front of them. There's this part in one of his songs, I think it's in Jimmy or in one of his songs where I jump up and do this kick like on a drum accent. So it's like bang, and I jump up, boom.
Yeah.
And I like came down on the, like it's called a wedge or a fold back.
Yeah.
Came down on top of it and like fell like that. I was like, man, I just stacked it in front of 13,000 people. It's bad. It's bad.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, if you're going to stack it, make sure people are watching.
Yeah. It's too bad they didn't have phones. Like, it's connected to Facebook.
And then I just stood up and all I could see was just heads.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
As far as the eye could see. I'm like,
They all looked at you.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Oh, shit. What was the feeling like, though, in front of 13,000? Not stacking them, playing.
Incredible.
Yeah?
Yeah. And the good thing about being the hype man is that, like, all the pressure is not on you. Like, if anything goes horrible on stage, it's Draft's name that's up there in
They're there to see him.
in massive letters, So you have fuck all of the pressure, all of the fun. And because I only have to kick every now and then and do a couple of words here and there, or a couple of lines here and there. Or
So you can breathe.
I can run around, But so like when I'm not doing that, I'm just running amok.
Yeah,
I'm dancing and running, jumping up on shit, hanging off shit.
Sick.
And he was all for that because it was part of the show. It was like, look at the hype man, he's losing his fucking mind.
That's perfect.
Cool.
That's perfect. Oh, sick.
But it taught me a lot as well. Like them older SBX boys taught me so much about like the business side of things and how things work. And I'm forever grateful to all them boys for that. Like Optimus, Draft, Disaster, all of them, man. They taught me. I'd never sent an invoice before.
Really?
Yeah, I was young when I joined the crew. I was 21.
Damn.
So they taught me all that stuff. So yeah, I'm forever in debt to all them guys.
Yeah. What was it like being on the front line when you were around when Jimmy dropped, right?
So I'd just met him.
Oh, right.
So there was like these shows at the Hyde Park Hotel, and it was just like there was no stage. It was just on the floor. They were pretty shitty shows, to be honest with you. But this is when the hip hop scene was very small but very tight knit, and me and Creed Birch were just kind of busting onto the scene, and Syllabolics were there because they were playing after us, and then me and Creed Birch tore it up. We felt like it was a sick show. We were on a high all night because when we were leaving, Hunter came up to us, dapped us up, met him for the first time. Drafter was like, boys, that was sick. Met him for the first time. And then next thing you know, a couple of days later, I get this email from this guy saying, do you want to do the supports for the... I think the show was called Who Was Jimmy Ricard or something like that. And that was the launch here in Perth. So I did the support slot. And
Sick.
met them and kind of got to know them that way.
So you were there for the build at the hype?
Not for the build, no. It had already dropped. It had already come out. Yeah.
Right.
It had just come out.
What was it like just being around that?
It was crazy because I grew up kind of like idolizing them dudes and looking up to them. Like it was people like Draft's album, Who Am I, and Downside's album, When the Dust Settles, and then like a Lyrical Commission album, and then The Calling by the Hoods, The Oars, The Greatest Hits. But like I said, I used to rap with an American accent.
Yeah.
And then when I found all these, I was like, yo, these guys just rap how we talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's sick. And then I just started doing that. So then I started meeting them all, and they were like, I could tell that they were feeling me. They were like, this young dude's sick. Hunter was like, this is my favorite rapper.
Sick.
I was like, man, these guys are loving me. And then there was one night where they all argued over making me SBX because Hunter was just like, this guy's SBX, he's in our crew. And Opto was like, man, we need to speak to the rest of you. You can't just just because everybody's drunk, just go, cool, this guy's SBX now. So, Hunter was drunk, so he was getting a bit aggressive. But, ultimately ended up happening anyway. But being around them guys was crazy for me because, when I was young, I was looking up to them.
That's dope, dude.
Studying them.
Wow.
And I did always say, I said to my friend once when I found all these CDs in his car, like them albums I was just saying, I was like, where's this guy from? And it was Draft and Disaster, You Think, the song was called. So, man, where are these guys from? He said, man, they're from Perth. I was like, I'm going to do a song with these guys.
Hey.
And now I've done numerous songs.
Yeah, multiple.
Yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's sick. I love that connection. You saw within the culture of Perth and you're like, I'm adding to this bitch.
Yeah. I just knew, I was like, us three would sound sick on a song together. Me, Does and Drafto. So, but yeah, they've been like big brothers for me for years.
Have you played any larger shows over the last few years?
What was the biggest show I've played in the last few years?
You got on stage for the symphony orchestra, right?
Oh, yeah.
That was wild.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy thing about that is the crowd sitting down. So when you're out there and like the stage just being covered in like very esteemed individuals like doing all their
Everyone's in
things,
suits
and you're like
glasses.
trying to make your way around. I'm like, oops, sorry, excuse me. And there's like big, what do they call them? Violin bows like going past you.
Yeah.
So you don't have much space to kind of to maneuver and navigate around. But
How many piece was that band?
oh shit, I wouldn't even know. I'd say there's minimum 30, 40 of them.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But the crazy part is when you get to the front and then you can see the crowd, because from the back here you can't, it's all blacked out. But then when you get to the front, you can see faces and people just sitting there looking up at you like this. It's like, man, this is weird.
Yeah.
Last time we felt that, we performed at Telethon and there was like just people just sitting down. It's like, this is so awkward and weird. But they're enjoying it.
Yeah, of course.
But because comparatively you're used to people being up the front, if anything, they need to calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
So
Get back.
Yeah, spilling drinks all over the stage. So when you're used to that, and then there's people just sitting down in the chairs, very different. But what a crazy experience, man!
That's wild, dude.
Yeah, that was crazy.
If I gave you like a 10-year projection, I know you're a father as well now, but if I gave you a 10-year projection, where would you say you would want to be? You reckon a couple more albums?
Couple more albums, and I've always had this feeling that music is going to lead me to something else. So I'm kind of still waiting for that. I have faith that, like, the way the world works at the moment is like it could lead me to something like this. It could lead me to an acting job or something like that. Like the possibilities, I'm open to any possibilities to see where it leads me. So I'm not sure. I feel like some form of entertainment outside hip hop and music where I can kind of lay low and not be so involved or not be so commit. I don't have to commit to something would be good. I'd like to look. My goal is to have a house on the beach. Like we love going to the beach. We love walks on the beach and stuff. And every time we walk, because I'm a big firm believer of the law of attraction or manifestation, and so every time we walk down West Coast Highway, I just look at all these massive houses and I picture me and my family living in one of them. So that's a massive goal of mine. Have a big house on the beach.
That visual manifestation's real as shit.
Super real. But you know what's weird is I'm really good at applying it to every area of my life. Like I manifested the shit out of my family, my house, even my 9-to-5 stuff. Like everything I did in the youth work sector, I manifested all of that. And I remember doing all the work for them things to come to fruition. Music, I just can't apply it to. There's this like self-doubt voice in my head that speaks louder than what I'm trying to manifest. So I'm like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then I hear a voice creeping through. It's like, yeah, but you're 36. Or like, and all this doubt just like speaks louder than it. So that's why I'm trying
Meditation would calm that voice, correct?
Yeah, I need to get back into it, man. Definitely. It was, even my partner's been pushing for me to get back into it because I've come off antidepressants lately and it was a wild ride. But I'm glad.
SSRIs?
It was called Effexor.
I haven't heard of it.
But I was on it for like 2.5 years. But I think when I first went to the doctors to get onto them, I didn't go to get onto them. My partner was just like, you need to do something. I was having like suicidal thoughts and stuff. I just wasn't well. And I was drinking heaps. I just wasn't exercising or taking care of myself. Went to the doctors, and there was none of them like lifestyle questions. There was no, what's your lifestyle? What's your diet? Do you have an exercising regime? So, after being on them for about 2 years, I tried to just take myself off them, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
Like I got real down, real low, and real suicidal. So I just put myself back on them, and then I had to adjust to them all over again. And I just hated being governed by. I hated that this thing had control of me.
Yeah.
I was a slave to having to pop this pill every morning to feel okay. So I was like, I want to get off these. And I had that realization, if the doctors never asked me, and now I'm living a lot cleaner, eating a lot better, exercise every week, multiple times a week, get a lot more sun, drink a lot more water, more time with the family, more time in nature, like all these lifestyle choices I tweaked and improved as well. And I just didn't feel like I needed the antidepressants anymore.
Perfect.
But they were trying to keep me on them. And that's when I got that idea and that feeling that, man, there's like a motive here or an agenda to this is a money thing, and that's right, off the back of all the COVID stuff and everything that happened over that 2.5 years, and I found out the company that makes these fucking antidepressants is Pfizer, who I fucking hate.
God damn.
So I was like, man, get me off these things. And then when they were trying to keep me on them, I was like, this whole medical world and pharmaceutical world is just so driven by money that there's no ethics and no, you know what I mean? No authenticity whatsoever. So I feel much better that I'm not a slave to them pills anymore.
I think before COVID, the same shit was happening. It's just we didn't have the best understanding of how enforced all of the medical gain companies.
Well, I think when the COVID thing started happening, it forced everyone to do a lot of research. So when I started falling down this rabbit hole and figuring all this stuff out and noticing all of these little, nuances in the way that the whole system was working, I feel like COVID was bad for them. Whatever it was, I feel like it shone a light on a lot of things that they probably didn't really want people seeing. Like when I looked into it and I saw that Pfizer had been done before and fined $8 billion for I forget what it's called, but inappropriate activity, or I don't know what they were.
Where they put out a drug and
they just got fined, but they broke the law in some kind of way and had to pay. You'd assume it's pretty bad if they had to pay $8 billion or $1 million, I don't know, but it was a massive fine that they copped, and then they just forced everyone to do this thing that they had out.
When they do their placebo studies, there's been a couple of instances where they've actually altered the results of the trial.
Wow.
Well, it's not a complete alteration. They move the numbers around.
Yeah,
so they keep the same numbers and we're just we do. And then they go to court and then if they've made 12 billion on it and they pay 6, there's still a profit of 6 billion.
Okay.
So they're still up. They'll pay it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
There's only one type of people that got rich during that whole ordeal, and it's them.
It was the rich. Yeah.
And everybody else ended up worse off. So, but the whole fucked up about that thing was Hannah was pregnant at the time, and they were trying to force her to. And I was like, you guys are making pregnant women do this. How could there be enough testing? The way time works, how quickly this thing came out. There's no way you guys have done enough testing for long-term effects to be pushing it onto pregnant chicks. That's crazy. That spun me out because I was like, at least no matter what, Hannah's going to be all right. They're not going to try and force it on her. But yeah, she had to leave work.
Nope.
Yeah.
That was a scary time because we just didn't know what the fuck was going on, what was real and what wasn't.
Yeah.
I get phone calls through this bitch.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it's so annoying. You can't hear it though. Can you?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Hi. No. That was a really scary time for the world. And I think that most of what we went through this is going to sound tinfoil hat shit. Yeah. They're planning another one.
Yeah, I've heard this.
That's why you're starting to hear more cases come up.
Yeah, so it made me wonder if that whole thing was it was a fucking big trial, if it was, but almost like a trial to see how far.
Well, they made $70 billion each year.
Well, and just to see what level of control they can actually hold over people before they start revolting and pushing back. You know what I mean? So it's funny that everything kind of got pulled back as soon as they were like, the general public is fucking sick of this now. They're all it's going to start getting bad. So it made me think that, there's going to be more lockdowns in the future. I don't know. I heard someone say that it might be due to the carbon footprint. they start locking us down, start trying to control us that way. Who knows, man? The only thing I know is I don't pretend to know anything, but I do know that I was always taught if something doesn't make sense, don't trust it. And there's so much stuff that comes from. I'm very untrusting of the government, and I think that there's more than enough reason to be. When people go, "Oh, then you're a conspiracy theorist," I'm like, "Well, then so be it," because there's so many reasons and so many examples of why not to trust the government, and they're constantly trying to divide us because a weakened society is a society that's easy to control.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just constant efforts to make us argue and fight with each other. Like the new one is this vote now. Everyone's fighting and arguing over that, and then it'll be something else. Do you know what I mean?
It's always something. It's always imposing negative influence.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't see that shit without the news. And the fucked up thing is that Pfizer controls most of the advertising that's on television.
On the news, yeah.
Like, they're all paid off by companies. That's why you see, like, Claritine ads and shit. Like, you think that... I see this shit in, like, sports, too, where, like, a wild turkey will be on a banner at, like, a stadium.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's on television.
Yeah.
Everyone's seeing that.
Yeah.
It's just weird that we, like, let one drug be, like, completely fine, you know, even though it kills a lot of people.
Probably the most.
You can be addicted to it. It'll kill you as soon as you come off it. But... when it comes to, like, weed, that shit, they won't advertise. They think it's the devil. Like, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how's, like, cigarettes, say, for example, they used to advertise that and, like, there was, like, cigarette ads. I can't remember them from when I was young. But then they were like, oh, cool, these things are actually quite deadly. Let's not advertise that anymore. But there's still gambling ads all the time. There's still alcohol ads all the time. It's like...
what is it really costing you?
The funny shit is...
what the fuck?
Yeah. The funny shit is they'll give you this gambling ad and make it seem so cool. And then they'll have this disclaimer at the end that completely undoes whatever they just promoted in the first place. Yeah.
It's almost like art, though, because they're, like, doing a rap and then apologizing for it. You know, like, if you put this shit down when you're in it, you're staying mad. That's the beauty to it. Yeah. Fuck, dude.
But I also, like, after COVID, I'd never really been involved in politics or never really wanted to. But that kind of period, everyone was bored at home, and I just fell down so many rabbit holes and just got interested and into things that... I don't know, you know, in hindsight, I'm like, why did I waste time looking into that or getting involved in, like, something like politics? I feel like they make it so complicated and complex and ridiculous that number one, the more time you spend looking at all this. So I've got a new thing as well. I'm trying to get off Instagram because I find myself just like a zombie, just like the shorts at the moment. I'm terrible for it, man.
Me too.
And it's making my attention span super shit. I just don't think it's good for the mind, full stop.
I think it's like a drug.
It is full like a drug.
Yeah.
Just try to stop yourself doing it. And then I just like, and I'm like, what the fuck? Do you know when you snap out of it? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah. You put it down, walk away, and then you find yourself back in the same place in 20 minutes just scrolling.
Oh, man. And I'm like, how did I end up back here?
Yeah.
And the stuff that I'm looking at is all like, you know, videos of people fighting or arguing, because that's the algorithm, you know. It's just like all this toxic, negative shit. And then I walk away.
There's a lot of that,
Yeah, distorts my concept of the world and makes me a negative person. And then I'm just short with my family and stuff like that. So I've definitely been trying to step away from that and not feed so much into the political stuff. Like that Sound of Freedom movie that came out, I fell down that rabbit hole looking into all that. And at the end of the day, if I can't affect some sort of change, like this thing is obviously happening on a massive level. I'm just this one dude in Australia. I can't change that. So I've had this realization. I was like, then why am I chasing this like horrible knowledge? Why am I trying to learn this stuff? Why am I trying to learn everything about a situation that's horrible that I can't change? Literally having all this information is useless to me, and it's just making me feel real low. It's fucking up my idea of the world.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I've taken a step back. I'm not looking into that stuff anymore.
Yeah?
No,
That's a good idea. I get a lot of puppy videos.
I need to, how do I improve my algorithm?
Just keep searching puppies.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Every day just look up puppies in the morning.
Like funny puppy videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked. Like, I heard that somebody did, I think it was Ari Shafir, a comedian in America. He looked up puppies every single day for like a month, and his whole algorithm was just cats and dogs. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to get, and you saying about my meditation before, if I get back.
But am I just giving you a way out? Don't go back.
Nah, but what I'm saying is if I start meditating again, like when I go onto YouTube or whatever and I look at meditation music or guided meditation, I feel like that'll improve my algorithm. It'll be all about meditation or spirituality or, self-progression or something like that. Like I remember there was a time where it was all like Sad Guru or like all these people were popping up with all this like real inspirational content. And now it's just like, right-wing people arguing with left-wing people over how many genders there are. Like, why the fuck does this shit pop up for me, man?
It's because they know it gets attention.
So you reckon the more time you spend on like if you let a short finish, whatever that is categorically, so it's picking up on, he watched that whole short, give him more of that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah. So if you have Instagram on your phone, they have access to your camera. And even I think when it's locked, you can be around the room and it'll it comes up in tiny boxes that overlap each other, but it like labels everything that's in the room as well. So like when it's like looking at your face, it tracks your face. And when your face makes that movement, like whether it be angry, sad, like what the fuck, like it's constantly listening to you and seeing you, so it tailors what you want to see.
Wow.
Yeah. So even when you're like, what the fuck, like that's shocking, and then you go to something else, they're gonna like show you more shocking because like it got the biggest reaction.
What?
Yeah.
Is that proven?
Yeah. It's proven. That's why they do it.
Damn, bro. See, this is the thing as well. I don't. Like it gets to a time sometimes where I'm like, fuck this phone. I don't want a smartphone. I don't want to have all this stuff at my fingertips for whenever I'm bored. If I'm bored or like say I'm in a waiting room for the doctors or something, what do? Go straight onto our phones.
Yeah.
Sitting on the shitter, go straight on your phone. But I just like want to just be able to just be still and be calm and look around and not have to like stimulate my mind with something. Do you know what I mean? But if we got rid of these, like it would have been a lot tougher to get here. Do you know what I mean? Like everything we need is in here as well.
Yeah.
I was like, how could you live in today's society without a phone? And not really, no. We've grown so accustomed to being able to get hold of each other whenever we need to or want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's these other phones that you can get that are really simplified and don't have heaps of apps on them and stuff like that. So I might look at that. Or I could just have better control.
Yeah. How did you, with your Instagram history, is that... How do I even fucking put this? When I get high, I can't like articulate questions, but answers I'm fucking...
I'm a bit like that. I think I'm the opposite.
Yeah? Yeah. How do you go about having the difference in sound? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so like back old videos or that I used to share. I don't think about it too much, to be honest with you. Like
it is almost like an Eminem progression.
Man, and so it's funny you say this. I was speaking, I don't even know who I was speaking to, about going back through my old stuff and like taking it off YouTube, like old songs of mine, because I listen to it now, I'm like, ugh, like I said to you before, this is cringe or this is shit, or I don't know, if I used to dress different or something like that, you know? And I'm like, ugh, I want to take this down. But then someone made a good point that it's good for people, like say new people discover me and they go back through my catalogue to see how much, well, in my eyes, in my opinion, how much better I've gotten over the years. It was Cortex I was talking to, actually. And he's like, leave it up there so people can see your progression. But I don't know, I'm on the fence, man. I don't like some of that stuff. It's cringe. And it's just shit quality. Like you said, some of the recording quality was worse back then. The video quality was worse. So part of me wants to just erase up to, maybe a year or two ago. And then just let that be my body of work that's out there. So I'm still on the fence about that.
I don't think do it.
No?
No. I think like people finding you, the genuine ones, are going to want to see the storyline.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's why I keep like my early podcasts.
I was just about to ask you, is that why you asked?
Because,
So you'd keep the older stuff up there too?
Of course. Because it shows you where you've come from.
Yeah.
You know, I like that.
Yeah. And how much better you've gotten at it as well. Like you'll probably notice these days you're better at asking the questions, keeping a conversation going than you used to.
Yeah. Some people say that like the Instagram feed is almost like not the feed, like your page is almost like a catalogue of your history of your body of work.
Yeah, okay.
So I got the dries, don't worry about me. I'm
good.
Those posts. I'm getting water. You want water?
Yeah, go on. Oh, do you want to fill that up?
Yeah,
my man.
Oh, fuck, dude. I got like the dry. Why is my stuff in my phone? That's some strong weed, man.
Yeah, it's good, eh?
Ooh.
Real nice.
Holy shit.
Smooth as hell as well.
Yeah, no coughing.
Yeah,
I like it.
I really
It's
like
very good. Do you find with not riding stoned or drunk anymore, do you find it's like more clarity for your vocabulary?
Yeah, big time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I know you've gotten a lot more rapid with the vocabulary these days.
Yeah, and that's just reading in general. Like, there's certain people I really like, and they have really, I listen to a lot, and they have very, very impressive vocabularies. And I feel like if you can articulate yourself really well, life becomes a lot easier for you, and it improves all of your interactions and your relationships as well. Especially in a relationship, being able to articulate how you feel is very important. So I'm lucky I've got a lot of experience in that field, which is what rappers do, articulating how we feel all the time. But I feel like with a sober mind, I'm definitely more in touch with my feelings, because that's why I smoke weed, because I'm like, you know, to calm myself down or to stop my head from racing or to be less anxious or whatever. So, but I feel like that anxiousness or that open-mindedness when I'm sober is, it's definitely more beneficial for my writing. I feel like weed kind of puts shackles on my thinking, or it dumbs down my thinking. Like, I'm not as expansive, or I'm definitely not as articulate when I'm writing, for sure. Yeah.
I think the baseline stresses to life become a lot easier and better to handle once you actually realize that your thoughts just keep coming regardless, so let's just be in this moment.
Yeah.
That is a way better way to handle it than saying, you know, like, let's block this off for a bit and then cruise through. Yeah. Because it comes back more rapid. Like, well, that's it. It's so much more faster.
My history smoking weed, like from when I was a teenager, and I was, you know, you go through a lot as a teenager, but whenever I felt any emotion, I just get super blazed.
Yeah.
And so I think that what that's created is I haven't, over time, kind of built a level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Resilience.
Yeah.
I feel like as you're growing, you go through some stuff and you figure out how to deal with stuff. But I feel like every time I felt any kind of emotion or I was going through some shit, I'd just smoke and drink. So
you definitely develop a thicker skin for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like as a 36-year-old, I'm way less resilient than I could be, because all them times that I went through some shit, instead of going through it and allowing myself to navigate through them emotions, I just dumbed myself down.
But that's kind of like the consequence of going through like an artistic journey, is you have to sacrifice some part of yourself. So I wouldn't think it's completely negative.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The sacrifice is definitely a massive thing. I reckon it's for anything, but definitely with music, because like I said before, you're being so vulnerable and putting yourself out there all the time. And the crazy shit is, I don't get much hate, but, you know, I could put a song out, get 200 really positive comments saying this is dope or whatever, but if one person goes, shit, this is shit, or this is trash or whatever, I'll walk away, and that one comment will be stuck on my mind. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I was really interested in why that happens. And it's because our brains are wired to identify the negative and focus on that so that we can protect ourselves.
Yeah.
It's just like the caveman shit from being in the wild, like, but now it's just, you know, we're still working with our brains. So, you know, in a forum like the internet or something, if I feel like something's trying to attack me, which they are.
It's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
The ancestral change hasn't kicked in, that we're no longer on the savannah. You know, there's no longer lions, so we still have the anticipation of lions, so we know how to, like, that capability of stress contains it still.
Going into protection mode, you know what I mean? Like,
I think your body physically goes into it as a way of like chilling out, because we know we can chill now.
Yes.
But like when your brain goes into that mode, I think it kicks into overdrive or down a drive.
I got real like disappointed in myself. I'm like, why am I, do you know what I mean? All these people saying nice things and you're focused on that one person that was negative.
I got the same shit, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I had to look into it. I was like, is this a me problem, or is this just like human propensity? You know, it's just what human beings are like. So, yeah, and human beings are tilted towards being defensive and being protective when they feel that they're under attack. So whether it's the internet or it's a lion in the savannah, like you said, it's still there. So at least I could put it to bed and go, cool, it's not a me problem. It's like, you know, how a lot of people feel. So... But again, the bigger people get, the more of them comments are going to pop up. And are people really ready for that? You know,
I think the disposition to have like the awareness of the negative is a positive thing, because I think sometimes it will push you to be, you know, like more rapid with what you're doing. When you're beginning something like I did with the podcast, I think my second episode in, someone was like, someone said, "What makes you think you can do this?" And I screenshot that bitch and I put that shit on Instagram story, and I was like, this. And I think I got like 100 followers that day just from that shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
See, that stuff, a comment like that I would use to motivate me for sure.
Yeah,
because it's real specific in doubting you.
Yeah.
But when
I think it was just like, I'm not going to say.
yeah, right, okay. But the last one, not the last one, the one before, up yours too, when I put that out, some dude was like, stick to being a dad or something like that. And I let that sit with me for days. I kept wanting to go back and reply to his comment. But I've got a new thing where as soon as some shit like that pops up, I just delete it straight away. And if they keep doing stuff like that, I just block them and just don't engage with it whatsoever. Because I feel like
You have to do that.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, say I go past shit all the time and I'm like, that was pretty whack, or that wasn't, you know, I might have a thought, but what is the part that propels people to then spend time sharing that thought? Like, I think this is shit. Better let him know. Like, what is that? And I feel like that's coming from, it says more about them than it does about me. So I just need to focus on that.
I used to steal people's content. So I did reaction videos. That's what I call reaction videos.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, like a few of mine blew up, like 3.2 million views, 5.7 million views. Like they're still on the bottom of my Instagram. I left them on there because it showed my mental disposition at that time. I pinned all the negative comments. And they got like 700 likes, all this shit, because of like, I pinned the funny negative comments, you know, that were like really deprecating to myself. And like, they were like, something about my forehead or some shit. It's a 6 head. I don't know. They just wanted to find anything to like. I think it was like a jealousy monitoring.
That's what
like,
I'm saying. Yeah. And what in there? Yeah, that's like I said. That says more about them than it does about you, especially when it's over some like arbitrary bullshit. Like what the fuck is wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
Social media gave cowards an outlet. That's what Jadakiss says. It's so funny. If you pass, it's like, you know, when you're in a car. Sometimes the people go off me on the road and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I could beat the fuck out of you. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we were just walking in the street and there wasn't these things of metal separating us, do you really think you would act like that?
No.
So people get this false sense of security in a car or behind a screen or whatever. Man, there was a dude recently, I was in Karratha, and this dude just started hating on one of my posts. Fuck's this guy's problem? So I messaged him. I was like, what's your problem, mate? We start arguing in there, and I got way too into it, and I shouldn't have let it, you know, affect me, but I'm getting into it with him.
Sometimes you just got to let it roll.
Yeah, and then I'm in Karratha. We're going to do the Wasso show.
Yeah.
And he says, next time you're in Karratha, big boy, let me know, and we'll sort it out. And I was like, wait, where are you? And he goes, I live in Karratha. And I was like, mate, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still here for a whole nother night. I don't go till tomorrow. And then he goes, man, I wasn't being disrespectful. I was just saying, like, this is the crazy shit, man. And that's why sometimes it is so tempting to start going back and forth with him, because you just know that you're like, there's no way that you would speak to somebody like this in public, face to face. Like I've had plenty of hateful comments on the internet before, and never has anybody come up to me and said your stuff's shit. So it just tells you, and I've been doing it for however long. So
yeah. It's just jealousy, man.
It's just weird.
They think that they could do better, but they can't. Otherwise, they'd be doing it. So,
but I like it. It fuels the fire. Yeah.
I love that, dude.
Absolutely.
I love that. There's too much, I think, shit these days where it's because it's so interconnected, and you think it's you that's on that profile, but it's just the fucking shadow image of your history.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like you take it as like a personal thing.
Yeah.
But I think people that are doing that are literally like shouting out and saying, hey, like, I feel insufficient.
See me. Yeah.
Please see me right now. Why is he getting the limelight?
Acknowledge me.
Yeah. So they attack the person that like they idolize for it.
And again, that's going back to what I was saying before, that attention is the new currency. People will get attention no matter which way. If it's negative or positive, they don't care. As long as they have the attention, then it justifies their actions. It, do you know what I mean? Confirms who they are. So.
Yeah. There's too much of that, dude.
Yeah.
I think like the authentic people that are doing their shit and keeping it rolling and keeping it 100, as they used to say back in your rap days.
I'll always keep it 100. I'll keep it 110.
In an American voice?
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I think like the people that are still doing their shit and doing what they can for their culture is fucking sick as shit.
They're all my favorite rappers are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not clout chasers, and you know what I mean. And like I feel like I sound like an old jaded dude sometimes, and I probably am, to be honest with you.
No.
Man, I remember there was a time
You
where
just have a different disposition. It's not old.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like that get off my lawn kind of guy, because I feel like all the newer young dudes are doing so many things that are different to how I was taught. Like if there's a live show these days, people just play their song and with the vocals in there and just go over the top of it every now and then.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not a performance though. No. I was taught, like, the scariest thing about a performance is forgetting your lyrics. So it's got to come out of it. You can't have the lyrics in there because you've just taken away the scariest element of performing a show.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an actual performance to me, you know what I mean? So I think I'm not a purist at all. I'm definitely not a hip hop purist, but there's just certain things that I don't feel like, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
That way of performing as a hip hop artist was always the best part of hip hop. Watching a performance, watching someone manage their breath and control their output and their projection and stuff like that, it was like massively important to me as a fan to witness it, and then as an artist to be able to provide that. Do you know what I mean? It was very important to me to be a good performer.
Well, the fans of 2023 hip hop, I think, have a lot more want for repetitive bullshit, because that's what they see every day, right? It's always on the phone. So like the song that only has like a fucking one-liner that continuously goes through the whole song.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right.
It's almost like we want the change in the moment, but it doesn't diverge too hard from what we're actually listening to.
You could be onto something there.
Like, that's just a weird thought to have, because like, if that is true, where does that go? Like, there was a guy that played live. I don't know his fucking name, but he played a concert. I think it was somewhere in LA, and he came out, and the first 30 seconds of the song, everybody knew the fucking lyrics because of TikTok.
But then none after that.
None after. It was dead silent.
Wow.
Dead silent, bro.
Wow, man, that's crazy.
What the fuck?
That's crazy. And I was talking to someone about this last night, how much, because of people's, like the entertainment and music industry is definitely on to people's attention spans and how short they are these days, because an album used to be like 15 to 20 tracks. People sat around 16 to 18 all the time. But these days an album is, I don't know, 8 to 12 tracks. Yeah. Usually around 10 to 12.
Yeah.
And tracks used to be 4 or 5 minutes long. Now they're like 3 minutes long. 3 minutes is the sweet spot, because they know that people's attention spans. And there's heaps of artists and rappers, especially these days, that completely change the beat halfway through the song.
Yeah.
Like Kendrick does it heaps. J. Cole does it sometimes.
It's a complete new beat.
Completely new.
Yeah. Different BPM, everything.
Because they're onto people's attention spans, or lack thereof. So.
Yes. Yeah, because they want so much fluctuation because of the dopamine hits that it gives.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just short and sharp.
I think those tracks are like probably one of my favorites though. Like a Kendrick. Like,
Kendrick's very good at it.
that humble shit that he put out that went viral all over the fucking radio, everywhere, right?
Did.
That track is so repetitive. Sit down. Oh, be humble.
Yeah.
It was so fucking
So
repetitive.
simple, yeah,
but so simple, man. It was so good.
And so effective as well.
Yeah. And I think like, because all of his, well, not all of his new shit, but a lot of his new shit, he's like actually being Kendrick. So like, he was like, I'll do this one thing, but listen to this shit too.
As well. Yeah. Did you see him live when he came here?
No, I didn't get the chance to go.
Man, me and Hannah we were rocking out.
Yeah?
I was sick.
That's great. Who was his support act?
Who did he have? Shit, I don't even know. I can't remember.
Yeah, right.
I don't even know if he did, to be honest. That would be a very Kendrick thing to do. Not
Yeah,
to have
true.
to not have a support act.
Come out at 9, like,
Yeah. I think that was a thing because it was like a Sunday night.
oh, right.
So
Hectic.
that could very well be what happened.
Did he play HBF?
Nah, he played Perth Arena, RAC.
Oh, okay. Sick.
Yeah,
Were you on the floor?
We were on the floor and we had like mad space, and there's a couple of his tracks that me and Hannah always bump out to, so we were boogieing.
Sick,
it was just ours. We had plenty of space. There was like these younger dudes near us, and we were rocking out with them. That was sick.
That's dope. I love when that like live music feel
Connects people
in the crowd.
Yeah, man.
You know?
Yeah. I love performing, but I love more being at a show of an artist that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Especially if like everything's right, like I'm in a good spot. Because you know how sometimes at gigs you're like, fucking hell, like I'm losing the sound. Like the first time I saw Eminem was shit. It was such a letdown because I was so far away. And then the second time was way better because I was so much closer.
Yeah. I went and saw, when I was younger, I think I was like 19, went to Claremont Showgrounds and watched Slipknot.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, that was wild.
Was it?
Yeah.
What's best live performance you've ever seen? Best concert you've ever been to? Shit, I better think as well. Damn.
Yeah, there's a lot. I'd have to say Metallica.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like, I love all types of music.
Yeah.
If we're talking hip-hop,
Yeah, I don't even know if I know. Man, Hilltop Hood's put on one of the best shows I've ever seen. Especially Australian hip hop wise. Insane shows.
Oh, Denzel Curry.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Listen Out.
Okay.
Yeah, a few years back.
Man.
But it was wild, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time I heard the what's that fucking song? Forget it.
Yeah.
But it was like the main song that he got known for. I can't fucking remember its name. No, don't worry about it.
I don't listen to much of his stuff. I need to check it. Like I said, my fingers off the pulse, man. There's a few rappers that I hear people bring up all the time. Denzel Curry's one of them. Never heard a song of his.
Really?
I barely ever listen to hip hop anymore these days, to be honest with you.
That's fair. I feel like when you get accustomed to like riding a bunch, you're like, no, this is my shit.
Yeah.
Let me just like chill out to some other shit.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of Motown. A lot of 80s. 80s was my era, man.
Yeah?
I love the 80s. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you a big fan of like the Australian band AC/DC?
I was. Yeah.
Sick, dude.
But not massively. But yeah, I definitely loved some AC/DC back in the day.
Have you heard of the Southern River Band?
Yeah.
They're fucking good, dude.
Cal, who's the lead singer.
California?
Yeah. he's a mate of mine. We cross paths pretty often, but he might be probably the funniest person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
He's extremely funny. And he knows Hannah separately from before. Like, he knew us both individually. And obviously they were
crazy.
together. Yeah.
They're going to be huge, dude.
You reckon?
Yeah.
He's a superstar in his head already, like in his own right.
Before they did I shouldn't talk shit. I might cut this out. I'll think about it. But before the Live Nation contest that they had, they asked the Southern River Band, and they were like, "No, we good."
Yeah, no, I saw that. He posted that, didn't he?
Yeah. And then Perth Now posted it.
That's right. Man, he's so funny. He's one of them guys that his social media game.
Yeah.
It could be the thing that propels their music into a bigger space, but
It's just having personality and then getting the camera out when you have it.
that's the part. So I have the personality.
Yeah, of course.
It's the part where I go, like, the idea of doing this makes my fucking dick shrivel up inside me. Like, hey guys, how you going? I just can't do that shit, bro. I cannot bring myself to do it, and I'm shooting myself in the foot. It's probably holding me back. Whenever people ask me, man, why aren't you famous here? I should just say that. I should say, because I can't talk to the camera for the life of me. And whenever I have to, like if I've got a gig coming up and the promoter's like, man, can you do a post about it, whatever, there's like 30 of them in my phone. Because I go, hey guys, if you go, fuck, like I just can't, do you know what I mean? And wait, because it just doesn't feel natural and authentic for me. So I'm forcing myself to do this shit. And then I'm like, fuck this. I don't hate doing this shit, man.
I think like the best way to get like a handle on it is to, well, there's two ways, obviously. Just doing it and get yourself like fixated into like the rhythm of doing it every day, and then you're more
becomes normal.
Yeah, it becomes a part of your everyday.
Yeah,
that's what I did with podcasting. If you watch the first one, dude, it ain't good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
I was just like, what do we fucking talk to them, and then it was just trash.
Yeah, right.
But after a lot, like through the exposures that I've had, there's been countless now, because there's been multiple that I've been fucking through, and like early on, at least, all of my shit ones, that not shit because of the artist that I was talking to or anything like that. It's just because I was terrible.
You went on your game, yeah.
I couldn't put it out, and then like all those times that I had fumbles and that's a better way to say that. No, listen here, he's fucking talking or she's talking. I think all that experience it like starts to mold you into whatever it is. You know,
okay.
Your
But I think that's
artistic-
because it sounds like you're a pretty reflective person. I reckon there's a
have
lot
to
of
be.
a lot of people that would just not have the self-reflection to go, oh, I, like was talking over him a bit there. Like I noticed I do that a lot. I cut people off or, but it's because number one, I'm Indian and it's a very Indian thing. Like my Indian family just talk over each other all the time.
Yeah.
The other thing is I know I've got a shit memory, dude.
Yeah?
My memory is dog shit. So I'm like, there's a part of me that freaks out. If I don't say this now and I wait for this person to finish, by the time they finish, that's going to be gone. I'm going to forget it.
Yeah.
So, but I need to just accept that if I do forget it, obviously it wasn't that important in the first place. So fuck it.
To hit the paper.
Yeah.
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 I find a lot of the time when you're writing lyrics, I've watched a fair few rappers. I don't know about yourself, but a lot of people will go through, find a mood or a genre or whatever it is, and attach the lyrics to that, and then still listen to the same beat, and then be like, oh no, scrap all that, even though there's like at least a minute of work there, and then start on a whole new thing.
Yeah. Do you know what I do a lot of? I'll write to a beat, and then if it doesn't really go anywhere, next time I'm looking for beats, what I wrote to this beat over here. There's so many of my songs that I didn't write that to that beat. Sometimes I write shit to a different beat, and then when I find another beat, I'm like, I wonder if this will go. And sometimes I rap this verse to this new beat, and it goes better.
Oh, sick.
So I do a lot of that, man.
Hectic.
Yeah. Or if I'm like, oh, really, this song, I'm not going to put it out. I don't really like it, but I love that first verse, or I love the hook. Or, you know, it might be something. I'll take that to the, you know, I might this hook here take to the next beat and sing it differently because the beat's different, but it goes better. Like this, you just got to be flexible with creativity like that. It was Drafted told me that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I was like, oh man, I love this verse, but just can't get a hook to it. And then, you know, he used to do it all the time as well. I don't know if he does it that much anymore, but I do it heaps.
Damn, man.
Yeah. Like I got a song called Arson that I wrote to J. Cole's Stood in the middle of two generations. I'm little bro and big bro all at once. Middle child. Mm-hmm. So I wrote it to that beat, but then the arson beat's completely different. And all these dropouts were happening in these perfect spots with what I was rapping. Like sometimes it feels like it was meant to be.
Yeah, right. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
So you've had a fucking journey and a half so far, bro.
Yeah, 21 years. I would say taking it seriously from like 21, 22. I was definitely taking it more seriously. I was like, oh, I could probably make something out of this.
Yeah,
and the things that I've experienced along the way, man. Like I said, I'll never forget a lot of these experiences that I've had. Or a lot of these people that I've met too. I could go anywhere in this country and, you know, have a bed for as long as I'd want it because I've just made so many relationships across the country. It's so good. And I've seen, thanks to Drafty, a lot of the time my own music as well, but going over to these little towns I never would have even heard of to do shows there and stuff and meeting all these locals, like it's insane.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, I've been very, very, very blessed.
Yeah.
Very, very blessed. A lot of people never get to see this country. I've seen every single corner of the country and been paid to do it.
Yeah.
All expenses paid.
Crazy.
Like, yeah, doing awesome shows as a young single dude, like on tour. I lived it, man.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm so happy to be married now because I don't feel like I'd left any stones unturned.
That's it.
Like there's no regrets. I don't look back and like I feel like I've done a lot and now the timing couldn't be better. It's time to focus on a fam.
Yeah. I like that hyper focusedness that you have. Focusedness?
Yeah.
Is that a word?
I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm very like that. I can't... I go through phases where I just like if something has my interest, I get obsessed with it. And then, you know, like not long ago, I think it was like
Focused
30 or I don't know, I was picking up what you're putting down. It's like 28 or something. I rekindled my love for basketball in general. I hadn't picked up a basketball in years and then just got right into the NBA and started hooping again and I was obsessed. But lately it's been martial arts and jiu-jitsu and
You're doing jiu-jitsu?
UFC. I want to. One of my best friends who could not get off drugs and like heavy drugs, had a hectic drug addiction for a long time. A lot of our friends turned their back on him.
Yeah, right.
But he found jiu-jitsu and it's the only thing that's saved his life, man. Yeah. And he's bordering a black belt now, but I've just been like supporting him, going to all of his, you know, every time he's competing I go. And I love UFC as well. And obviously jiu-jitsu is massive in the UFC. So it's definitely sparked an interest. I'm definitely going to get my son into some kind of martial arts. I don't know what it'll be.
For them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. To have that discipline and self-defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want him to be disciplined in at least one martial art. And if it could, it'll probably be jiu-jitsu. But yeah, it's done wonders for my friend. So it's piqued a curiosity in me for sure. I remember when I first got into UFC, I just liked it when they stood and banged and threw their hands. And now when it goes to the floor, I used to be like, oh fuck's sake, stand them up, stand up. I had no respect or understanding of jiu-jitsu. I just thought I was like, oh, two dudes on top of each other. But now it goes to the floor and I'm just as into it as if they were standing and banging.
So. I love that too. Like there's an awareness to jiu-jitsu now. Because of the UFC. And like going to the floor, wrestling, everything. I think
it's massive now,
oh dude, it's crazy. And I think just like knowing like what's a guard, like what's full guard, what's like.
But also the knowing that I don't know how effective it would be in a street fight, but just knowing that that's the thing about jiu-jitsu is when it started taking off, it was like all these smaller guys submitting and beating these bigger dudes who if they stood and traded hands, it would probably be over for them. So it's just the fact that it's a real good form of martial arts for the smaller guy, or that you don't have to be big and built. It's just about holds and just about understanding the human body. And if I fold this way, he's going to struggle. I could break his arm just with a simple lean back. You know what I mean? I just love the intricacies of jiu-jitsu for sure.
It's fucking scary because if you
man, getting into a street fight these days, you better be checking people's ears before you do. That's what I said to my friend the other day.
Yeah, it's a real thing, dude.
Dude walked past me with cauliflower ears, and I was like, that'll be the last guy in here I fuck with tonight. If I'm going to fuck with anybody,
he's getting mad, we're out.
Yeah.
That's so true, though. That's so true.
But yeah, going back to what you were saying, so at the moment it's martial arts and UFC, but just everything I'd watch, all my discussions, I just want to talk about UFC and like... It'll probably move on to something else soon, do you know what I mean? But when I'm into something, I dive into it. I'm very committed to it.
Yeah.
Poor Hannah, she's, she goes through phases. She's like, oh, if I have to listen to one more NBA video or watch one more video of highlights, or same with UFC.
Yeah.
But she does well. I'm like, sorry, babe, I'm going to watch this fight. It's all good. Cool.
It's I think fighting is one of the most compelling things.
Yeah.
Because it's like watching two of us go at it.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, let's go.
And everything's just so even. Like, it's not a team sport. It's just down to... I love the training side of it. I'll even watch videos on, hours end just watching UFC fighters train.
Yeah.
And then I just want to go to the gym and get it in,
Yeah.
So...
I'm all for them adding extra weight categories.
Same, 100%.
In between the current categories that they have. Because I think it will, like you said, the smaller the fractional gap, the more equalization of opponents, and they could stance them up next to each other. If there was like a just under superweight, or like a light,
it's like
middle
boxing.
Heavyweight.
Boxing has way more weight divisions than UFC or MMA. But the other thing is all this weight cutting. Like as healthy as all these guys are, all the weight cutting that they do is just bad, man. Like you see some of them sometimes and they look like shells in themselves. They don't look healthy at all because they've been starving themselves and not drinking water and stuff just to cut weight. So there's big dudes that walk around with bigger frames that want to fight smaller dudes to have the advantage, so they cut this weight. But if you introduced all these weight classes in between, you wouldn't have people doing that. They'd be probably fighting at the weight they walk around at.
Yeah. Like that's fucking scary, especially when they're putting themselves on the line to get knocked out. And it's like, it's wild to see that dehydration prior to a fight is still a thing.
Well, and how quickly they could put weight back on after they weigh in.
Yeah, but like your brain needs water, And if it doesn't have that shit, bro, there's a lot that can be fucking damaged. Like, you look at the amount of fucking crazy damage that they get in the NRL from like concussions and stuff. Now imagine them dehydrated and running into each other.
100%.
It's the same shit.
Yeah.
It is the same shit. That's some scary fucking bullshit,
bro.
Yeah,
the weight cuts look hectic.
Yeah.
Hectic.
And they get down, like, remember when Conor McGregor got up and his fucking face was all, and he's like, like that? And his face was sunk in like a motherfucker.
Yeah, man. What's the word? It was like real drawn and sucked in, bony. You seen him now?
Oh yeah, it's staunch.
Christ.
Yeah, he's on that Mexican supplements, bro.
Yeah, I bet. I've seen some footage from the Ultimate Fighter. Him and Chandler were doing, and he's got no shirt on. He's got pimples all over his back.
Does he?
As if it wasn't obvious already.
Yeah. Oh, well, you take some acne if it's boosting your T that much.
Yeah.
He's living life on the fucking go, brother.
Apparently he's back in the USADA pool too. So.
Is he? Oh, no. Well, I thought he's been in for like the last 14 months, but like they didn't test him for the first 10 or something.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
They came out the other day and said that he's submitted paperwork to the USADA. But then I think I saw the UFC have dropped USADA. There's some kind of issue going on there.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Something happened about the whole Conor thing, apparently.
Yeah, well, drop USADA, get him a fight, and then say, "Oh, we're sorry."
Get him back.
Get him back.
Well, he was meant to fight in December against Chandler.
That would be wild.
But what's December now? Who's fighting in December? Oh, that's the John Jones and Stipe fight.
I feel sorry for Stipe, man.
You reckon Jones will get him?
Ngannou took him, and I think John Jones has a reach that's longer than Ngannou's.
Yeah.
And Ngannou is like, he's a fucking well-talented dude, don't get me wrong, but he's only been doing it, I think it was like maximum 5
7
years.
or 8 years, yeah. It's not long.
I don't think it was even that long.
Shit, okay.
Oh, I think he was boxing training.
That's right.
Yeah, but then he went to MMA.
You're right, yeah.
And then you look at like John Jones, who's been number one in the world since he was 18, bro.
It's crazy.
Never lost a fight.
The only thing I worry about with Jones is that big gap that he's had, and then he came back and fought Garn, but it was over so quick, and he just submitted him that he didn't get much. He didn't knock much ring rust off. Like, you know, they didn't exactly go into the deep waters. It was over. I don't
think that's it. I don't think he has ring rust because like that dude's a savage through and through.
Oh my god!
Like there's no
baddest man on the planet for sure.
Like this scary. If you were in the fucking alleyway and that guy walked out of a shadow, you'd be like,
"Catch you."
Oh, I'm about to die.
I saw someone comment on one of his videos once, and it was like, "John Jones is my favorite psychopath."
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he got
nuts.
Apparently, he was like, I was training on cocaine or some shit as like a comeback to one of the interviews that they had, and he's like, I'm training on this shit, and like, oh no, he was
Cormier.
No, it was Cormier, but he was like, I'll beat your ass even after a night on the coke or something.
He says, I did, yeah.
Because then he ends up...
He goes, hookers and cocaine or something like that. And he goes, I beat your ass after a weekend on hookers and cocaine.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Cocaine one weekend, your ass the next. That's what he says to him.
That guy's fucking wild, dude.
Weapon. Absolute weapon.
I don't think that there's going to be much chance for Stipe, you know, once he got rattled by Ngannou.
Yeah. And he hasn't fought since Ngannou?
No.
Okay, cool.
Actually, has he? Oh, fuck knows.
Stipe.
He probably has.
And then the undercard for that's crazy. There's a few really good cards towards the end of the year. But I like going to, I go to VAR, like, because I'm from Joondalup, but I've moved these ways. But yeah, whenever there's a big card on, I'll go to Joondalup and catch up with old mates.
Varsity?
Go to Varsity, yeah. I love it, man.
Big screen.
Yeah.
Everyone's like,
yeah, man, the vibe's dope.
Yeah, it's good.
Atmosphere's sick.
They have one in Morley now.
Yeah, no, it's killer too.
Yeah, it's so good down there. I think I've been there for fucking years though.
Yeah, but that's where we started my Bucks. My Bucks party started at Varsity Morley.
Sick, dude. That's the best.
Yeah, sick.
Start with burgers?
No, well, I think I just lined my stomach with something small because it was a hectic drinking game that got very loose.
Do you know what fucking wrecks me from Varsity? The jalapeno poppers.
I haven't tried them.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't.
Okay.
Don't. You'll end up like me.
Man, I fuck with their burgers, but it's like $26 for a burger now.
For a burger, bro.
Yeah,
I know. And you get like a little portion of chips with it.
On the side. Get fucked.
That's what.
Cheeky,
that's like a fucking nicely cooked steak back in the day.
Yeah.
Like a really nicely
and
cooked
the rest.
steak. Yeah, and you get everything with it.
Yeah. Man, over East, when you're touring and travelling over East, like you see over there, they've got deals on over there you'd never see here. It's like steak and pint for $10 or $15.
What?
Yeah. Everywhere on the East. Well, it used to be. I don't know. I haven't been over since COVID. But yeah, it was crazy. I was like, man, you never get this shit in Perth.
When I was in and out of Brisbane for about 6 months, a few years back, we used to eat around at like the different pubs and after, you know, getting on it.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was loud. Sorry about that. I got a burp in me.
I hate that.
Yeah, like the all the food was quite cheap, except for when you go to like boutique burger shops or like chicken shops.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
There was a chicken shop over in Melbourne. I think it was called Carol's or don't quote me on that. But they had a fucking type of chicken that was like different spice levels, and there was like tenders or some shit, and it went to the devil. But it was like the actual devil, like
right.
Carolina Reaper type shit. And I didn't know, and they didn't tell me. So I ate this shit, and I was like, holy fucking shit, this is wild. I used to eat Trinidad scorpion chili.
I was going to say, so you've got a good
yeah,
threshold for it?
I used to. I can't eat spicy food now. But
really?
Yeah, at all. Well, I try not to. I do like butter chicken, though. I can't fucking...
It's not spicy.
Oh, I know. But like some places you go to, the oil, they must add like chili oil or something. I'm not sure what it is, but it gets you. And like back then, I ate this fucking tender, dude. And my eyes started watering, and my mouth, I couldn't close it all the way, so I was drooling like fuck. I was like, oh, what do I do? And they were like, oh shit, he's fucked up. And they had like a sink where you wash your hands in. I was just underneath the sink with like a line of people behind me.
Have you seen that? You would have seen it, Hot Ones, and he's got the wings.
Yeah.
So the one that called the bomb that fucks everybody up. I've done that.
Have you?
Yeah, it's messed up. Fucked me up.
Apparently that's the one that like is like the most bitter and all sorts of shit.
The second it hits your mouth, you're like, this is going to be fucked.
Yeah?
And it is. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's fun. I've done it a couple of times, actually.
You can buy in like American lolly stores and shit in Perth City. You can buy like the Hot Ones package.
Can you?
And it goes from like through all their sauces.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I'm going to get that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm a fan of... I'm half Indian, but like I like hot curries.
Yeah.
I like hot food.
A hot vindaloo. Ooh, bro. I fucking love
The
it.
fucks with vindaloo.
What is your favorite food?
Curry.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's
Favorite curry?
Not even close. See, my family's from the south, so Indian restaurants here, they're always very north orientated food-wise. Like a lot of the dishes are very north. So the curries, my favourite curries are all south ones, so you probably wouldn't know them. I like dosa. Dosa's one of my favourites. I like pepper water and fry. Dosa is like I think it's made of like rice syrup or something like that. I can't remember, but it's like it's folded, but it's like a pancake, and then they put the masala in the middle of it, and then they fold it, and then they pan fry the side. It's so good, man.
Damn, that sounds good.
Very good, but it's a southern dish, so there's not many, Indian restaurants here that have it.
Right. Were you born here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad was born in India, came over when he was like 18.
Right.
And my mum's white, so mum's English, dad's Indian.
Did your dad come by plane?
He came by boat.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How long? Do you know how long the trip was?
Nah.
Nah?
No, I'm not sure.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
That's a savage. That's a savage.
It's crazy, yeah. Yeah, my whole family, like no one ever guesses that I'm Indian because people always guess that I'm Italian or Greek or something like that. So, but yeah, like I think a lot of my friends spun out at my wedding, like how dark and how Indian a lot of my family is. Like, damn, bro, you actually are Indian. What do you mean? Complete's been telling everybody that I'm Italian and Greek, so I think it's true. It's fucking not.
Where's your mum from? Is she
English, Manchester?
Manchester. Wow, strong genes then.
Yeah, I look a lot more like my mum than my dad.
Yeah, okay.
Even pigment-wise, like I got all my white colouring off my mum.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's weird, like, because you'll see like caramel dudes, and you'll see like white kids or like really dark kids when it's like a mixed race couple.
Yeah.
It's weird, the whole like the differences and variables.
How it skips a generation sometimes.
Yeah,
I was saying to Hannah, look, Jordan could have been quite brown. He's not. He's pale as fuck. But that's how it works sometimes. It's rare, but it happens for sure.
Yeah, right.
My two sisters are quite darker than me, and my other sister and brother, there's 5 of us, but yeah, 2 of us are quite dark and 3 of us are pretty fair.
Yeah, okay. Wild.
Yeah, it's spun out, eh?
What did your family think when you wanted to start rapping?
So my dad is like a very conservative businessman kind of thing. So he just thought it was crazy. He's like, 1 in a million people make it doing this.
Logicking his way through it.
Yeah. So he was like, but then I think when he saw it started to make me money and I was touring and stuff like that, so he's come around to it. But at first he was like, you're wasting your time with this stuff. Also the content, the stuff I was rapping about back then, I never really showed in my music. These days that it's a bit more mature and lighthearted and progressive, I can show him some more music, and there's certain stuff that he likes, especially if I'm singing. He likes more melody and stuff like that. So But at first he wasn't big on it.
No.
And because of the lifestyle I was living back then too, I think and rightly so, he conflated both things. Like, Aaron's getting in trouble and doing all this and that and the other, but he's also rapping. Is this why? Is one a catalyst to the other and whatnot?
Correlations.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but no, these days now that I have more of a business mind about the whole thing, and I'm trying to use it to make money. I think you saw I bought my house off the back of saving a lot of money through music. So
Sick, dude.
with Drafto, from the second I started touring with him and doing my own shows in general, so for a good decade, any money I made from music whatsoever, I just put aside like it didn't exist into an account I couldn't touch.
Nice.
And then 10 or 12 years later, there was like over 100 grand there.
Whoa.
And then put that into a house, and now my mortgage repayments are low, bro, compared to everybody else's, and I'm super grateful that, and a lot of that's the draft money from touring with him. So a lot of it's my own from album sales and my own tours as well. But if that's one thing I would love to teach, like the younger generation, instead of teaching them to suck eggs or anything about rap, like they're going to know way more than me about the current climate of what's working and what's not. But the business stuff that I was taught and that I could teach, that's the kind of stuff I want to teach these young kids. Like J. Cole dissed I can't remember what the rapper's name was. Someone dissed J. Cole and he went back at him, and it was like a TED Talk diss, like basically telling him to save your money, like stop spending your money like that and stuff. And I don't know, it just had a real cool like older brother vibe, like the coaching, mentoring kind of thing to it. So yeah, the younger dudes these days, that's what I'd love to teach them, is how to if you start making money off music, how to treat it, how to be smart about it, how to be smart about people you keep close to you, people you tour with, people within your camp, if you will. I'd love to do stuff like that. Just mentoring in general. That's what I was trying. When I was a youth worker, I was trying to more so go the mentoring route, but we just couldn't get any funding for it.
Well, that makes sense then. Yeah, it makes sense that you took that path for sure.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That's a crazy story of how like you're working, but you're mentoring, you're rapping. Do you think it was also like your dad, like you wanted to prove to your dad that it was like more than just like the rap shit? Yeah,
well, same thing with going into the community services sector. I think he was a little bit apprehensive about that as well. He was like, because in his head, he's like, he has the template for success. Just do everything I did and you have a bit of money and be doing well. So, but I didn't want to go the same route as my dad. We're very different. So when I went into community services, I found a way to kind of mesh it all together, where I was a youth worker, but I built like a little studio in the youth centre. So I was recording kids rapping, was putting on like underage, all ages shows for them dudes. I was teaching how to rap for them to get up on stage and stuff. So that was my favourite part about what I did. That's what I missed the most too, for sure.
Yeah.
Just being in the studio with them kids and seeing them. Like there was girls that maybe weren't the best singers, but what I would do is I'd get them to sing, and then they'd float about the youth centre doing their thing. I'd mix it for a while, put some auto tune on them and stuff like that. Call them back in, put the headphones on them, and watch them flip out. I wouldn't tell them that I put auto tune on it. Yeah, there was one girl, I played it back to her, and she goes, "Hey, brother, I sound like an angel, Dad." I said, "Yeah, you do."
Yeah, sick.
I used to love that, man, and that's the part I miss most, for sure.
Yeah, I think kids need that encouragement, especially like with arts and stuff, because it gives you a way to like hone in on what's like really fucking with you if you're attentive to it, obviously, and like put it into a way that like you don't see like. You're not judging yourself on it anymore because it's out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to get a lot better at that. I want to get a lot better. Apparently the Beatles used to make music and they'd put out a song and they'd never check on it again. That's done. We've created that. It's out there now. That's the world's problem. They just move on to the next one. See, me, when I release a song, I go back on how's it doing? How's the traction doing?
Yeah.
What are the comments saying? So the next song I want to release, I never want to look back at it. I just want to put it out. And how dope would that be if I released a song, didn't look at it, didn't keep an eye on it to see how it was doing or whatever. Next thing it pops up as one of my most popular songs, and I wouldn't have watched its journey out there in the world. I would just think, oh fuck, that did all right.
Yeah,
like I'm going to do that. I'm going to try. Again, it'll be hard because it'll be pulling the curiosity. It'll be like, oh, I wonder how it's doing. Hannah, how's it doing? Like, So.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to start becoming more about the creative process just to get the love back.
I think the whole not fucking with like what's happening for like even when you just do something, like the next day you're like, ooh, because you just did it. So the hype is right there.
Yeah, you want to keep listening to it.
Exactly. But like I think when it comes down to like the negativity that it brings up, whether it be superficial or like deep down, the whole attentiveness to something that you've already done keeps you away from the present shit.
100%.
Is like it fiddles with your what do they call it? The adaptation physical metric.
Right.
So it's like how much you do that physically, and like what's the pattern to getting there.
Yeah,
and once the pattern changes, how quickly do you get back to that metric?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when you think about what we do as humans, everything is pattern related, right? You're more likely to do something if you've already done it, and it's more likely to happen because it's already happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you just know that physical turnaround.
And that's the way the brain works as well. Do you know what I mean? Like so, and that's with breaking habits and stuff like
That's why
that.
mushrooms are so good.
Oh man, how good are mushrooms? I'm loving them again lately. Eh?
Yeah.
Actually, my next song that's coming out is about being too fucked up on mushrooms. Like,
Damn.
yeah, me and Greasy. So.
Yeah, no, mushrooms are good. Like, goddamn, especially in small doses, like a microdose. It's very good for you. Like,
I haven't tried that.
dude, try it.
Yeah, okay.
You just have like 1/10 of a gram.
That's that little.
That little, yeah.
Damn,
You're just like dum 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 dum, and then
You feel anything?
yeah. Well, you don't feel it. It's more of euphoria, and colors are brighter. Like they're more vibrant.
Yeah, okay. It's like a little tickle.
Yeah. It's not crossing over.
Yeah. How crazy is it? Mushrooms are considered a Class A drug. It's in there with meth and heroin, and it's crazy. It's so
I think
crazy.
there's probably a maybe tinfoil hat.
Oh, there's a reason for that, for sure.
I think that there's probably like a control aspect to it as well.
You've seen how you think when you're on mushrooms.
Oh,
They don't want us thinking like that.
very clear.
Yeah, they don't want us thinking like that.
No.
It's dangerous.
I think that if the Stone Ape theory is true and what Terence McKenna actually
Love Terence
espoused
McKenna, yeah.
was factual, I think that maybe there's a reluctancy to allow us to evolve even further for financial gain because it keeps us in a dopey,
course.
slave-like state.
Yeah, of course. That's what I mean when I say you know what you think like when you're on mushrooms. They don't want us thinking like that.
Yes.
They don't want us free of like, concern and worry and anxiety, and they want us anxious. They want us, and I don't care. I own my tinfoil hat. Like, I don't think it's tinfoil hat shit. I think it's pretty straightforward that a weakened society is one that's easy to control.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there's this attack on masculinity at the moment as well, because I think there was during COVID. Like if you're gonna try and control a society, who are the ones that are going to push back, and who are the ones that are going to be aggressive in nature when it comes to stuff like that? It's the men, the people that are masculine. So there's an attack on masculinity because if they can squash masculinity, and if they can, I guess, break apart the fabric of the household and the family unit, then they've weakened society like to the absolute max, and then we become like sitting ducks, easy to control, very. What do you call it? What's the word? Very gullible, very just will take order, will take direction, because nobody's in a place of comfort and confidence. Do you know what I mean? Can I use the toilet real quick?
Yeah, of course. Should we wrap this shit up?
I was about to say, yeah. What time is it?
Yeah.
Damn, bro, sick.
Yeah, we're getting it done.
I know.
Bit of belief. This has been real fun.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for the
it's been mad.
chats.
Thank you.
That was sick.
for the
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been The Roadshow. Have a great day. Night, whenever you listen to this. Bye.
If you're